Sorry.
Yeah, if someone comes to your house and punt in the base.
Oh, fuck yes.
Should have had a flog before you jumped in the rig, man.
Yeah, it's always a good idea to have a flog before a race.
Can we keep swearing to 0, please? Penalties will be issued out for it. No, there wasn't.
And we've just gone green, guys, so that is the start of the PDC 3. Leads the way in the key up. Actually leaving a good decent amount of a gap back to the TCR cars.
You can actually see that James Foster's pulled a big gap. It's about 8/10 of a second at the moment. So James has got a he wants to pull that gap early in case the safety car comes up a bit later. So that we must have missed with a trigger 20. But our eyes at the moment. Sean Rinsley, I believe, just went up the inside. Nathan Clark, I believe it was. So they come around to the last one and finish their first run. Sean Rinsley, Nathan Clark, Ray Oliver. You see quite a bit of carnage in Mt Panorama on lap 1. It doesn't matter what category it is, it's always quite a twisty over the top, or especially racing, which we have here today. So the drivers are behaving themselves quite nicely.
So they'll just be thinking about now about thinking settling down into
Avoid the red mist as well. And once the red lights go out and it's green time, you see a lot of drivers sometimes probably using a little bit too much ambition than ability. But as I said, so good. At the moment, in the front of the TCR, it's looking like they're running in twos. You got James Foster, Edward Foster. The second and a half back, we've got Matt Morris and James Ruwald. And then another second and a half back from them, where Sean Linsell and Nathan Clark. So it's looking like everyone at the front of the TCR class is running in groups of two, which will help them with fuel strategy, I'm sure. But I'm sure they all want to get to the front of the field. Yeah, that's interesting. Whether they're doing that on purpose or not, I'm not too sure. But it could come as a nice little strategy. But just backing off the throttle a little bit, coming up Mountain Straight, going down Conrod Straight when you're in the toe. So that could race.
I don't drive these cars, well, enough, boys, but the tow down Conrod Straight, how much does that factor into this race, do you think, if at all? Terry?
Sorry, Tristan, what was the question? My brain was turned off there for a split second.
All good, Rob. I was talking about the tow down Conrod Straight. How much do you think that is going to factor into this race, if at all?
I think you really need to be under the rear wing of the other car coming out of the elbow, don't you, Rob, to really take full advantage of it? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've done the first two Pace Syndicate events, really well run. But this week I thought I'd have a go at commentary. Yeah, you really get a benefit of being in someone's draft, I believe. Unfortunately with these, there's no clutch. The start is all done from a launch control, which doesn't pay effect into these races because they're rolling start. There's no clutch, and usually with it, come down Conrod, put the clutch in, and you can save that few millilitres of fuel each lap, and you can can get a benefit with a shorter pit stop at the end, but with these being in someone's draft, it'll help as they can just ease out of the throttle coming into the kink of the chase and just coast into the braking market, which I'm sure with the draft in front of them, they may be saving fuel at this early stages, Tristan.
Yeah. So it's a thinking man's game. It can't just be quick. You know, you could technically, if you thought about it, if you had the same pace, so that you're you could end up coming out because you're sitting under their rear wing the whole race. Terry, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, to be able to sit close to the other car. The other thing is too, Tristan, in a racing situation, you really don't want to be following someone too closely for too long because, of course, your tyres start to heat up then, your engine heating levels go overboard. You know, you can cause mechanical dramas down the track. So there's an appropriate gap that you want to stay in behind the car in front. But, of course, if you're that much quicker than the car in front as well, you want to try and utilise that and try and look for an overtaking maneuver. Move up the field.
Yeah, completely understood. And I'm thinking that's what Stephen Grima is trying to do. As we see here in the Kia, him and Jason sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly there, mate. But they're having a good little battle here up front in the Kias. Looks like this is turning into something worth watching.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see on screen, they're 3/10 apart. Jason could be using Stephen as a fuel-saving method. He's looking just to be sitting behind him at the moment, force Stephen into a mistake. It'll be interesting to see as they go across the top if Steve is starting to lose his top and it's a front-wheel drive car. If he's starting to lose the edge of the tyres, or if Stephen's just got more in the tank left.
7.5 minutes into the race, if you're starting to lose the tyres already, you're in for a long afternoon, aren't you? But you are right. The car of Stephen Grimmer, 105, the Velocity Motorsports magazine Kia Optima, is getting the pressure from Muskowski there as they make their way over the top of the mountain once again.
Going down through the cutting and skyline. This, well, you get very tired out battling like this. Really, people that aren't into sim racing, I'm not sure if they can understand. What do you think, Rob? You know, I know there's a few out there who don't think it's a physical, but you've done one of these races. You know, where's your?
It is very physical. People don't understand the actual physical. I mean, it's obviously sim racing. It's not real racing, as they say. There's no G-force or anything against your body unless you're in a motion. However, you're constantly fully focused, and especially with these long races, you got no teammates. Some might have engineers, but it is definitely physical, and Mt Panorama can throw anything at it. We're coming over to start the fifth lap of this race. We're about 13 minutes in. Surprised there hasn't been any carnage at the start. But as you can see on screen, the Kias are starting to catch lap cars as we go to the lead of the Alan Hodgson is leading out the front. He's got Ben Collard who's close behind him. Terry?
We've actually got a penalty for Ray Oliver in car number 209, the TCR Audi, before the start-finish line. So that's not the way that he wanted to start off his campaign this afternoon for 2 hours and 20 minutes at PDC3.
No, that's not good. You don't want things like that to happen. But look, that is racing, and I guess he'll reevaluate and work on a strategy on how to get back up the front. It's good to see that we've got battles happening all over the field, though, Terry. It's not a boring race, is it? You know, they're not just following each other.
Oh, you're right, Tristan. It's, you know, and this is what it's all about. This is why PDC is so popular, and you have so many drivers turning up to race here because the racing's clean, it's fierce. You know, you've got your competitive guys, and then you've got your other drivers as well who are just out for a bit of a hit out, you know, Sunday drive, just for a bit of fun, and people who enjoy sim racing. So It really, really is good. But this battle up front, guys, is really starting to heat up now. I'm just watching Jason Markowski all over the back of Stephen Grimmer as they make their way down into the elbow once again. And I think it'll only be a matter of time before Markowski probably tries to take advantage of his track position and try and force himself into the lead, as they've got another couple of Mazda MX-5s that they're coming up to lap once again.
It'll be interesting to see how they go about lapping these cars. It's usually a pretty hard place to pass, let alone passing a car that is slower than you a lap. They're probably looking at overtaking them as soon as they can down the bottom of the mountain, but once they get through the cut, they start heading up the mountain.
As we see now, Grimmer, sorry about that, Rob, but he really got balked by car number 49, one of the Mazda MX-5s back there, and this is what happened. See, now he's put about 3 or 4 car lengths on Jason Markowski as they make the... Oh, no, Grimmer's in the wall.
Grimmer's in the wall.
Pit straight. Yes, he's been balked big time, and let's hopefully it hasn't done any damage to the car, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I look at the rear chase, look at the front of the car. Looks like he has a bit of damage on the left-hand side of the car, left front. Hopefully he hasn't got any steering damage because, as you said, it's a long race. Crushing this early, really, it's going to be a long afternoon if he does have any steering damage. As Markowski goes around the outside of turn 2, and there's a Mustang running wide, 3 wide. Markowski takes the lead.
So, like we spoke about earlier, that lap traffic is actually bringing down for the fast cars that are getting around this track. They're going to think about that for their strategy, because you get a little bump on your car and it's going to damage it and affect performance. Terry, what do you think the lap cars can do to help with this?
I've been in situations where, I've been at the front of the pack, I've been at the back of the pack, so the best thing is to do really, just keep your eye on the mirror. You need to not only have one eye on the mirror the whole time, especially at Mt Panorama, coming over the top and coming down the hill, because there are that many different blind corners. You've got to give these guys a little bit of respect as well, because they're in their own race, classes, so they're trying to do the best that they can to finish in a decent position in their class, but also trying to stay out of the way of the faster cars too. So it really does make it hard when you've got one eye in the mirror and one eye ahead of yourself.
Yeah, most definitely. And look, we see that in real life as well. And everyone is allowed to fight for their respective position on the podium, no matter what class they are in. Rob, transitioning into sim racing, it's good to see that we have respect and that we would like to race clean.
Absolutely, mate. Sometimes you see real life drivers come in here and think, I can just crash because it's not real life. But a lot of people are paying respect to other drivers here, which is great to see. As you see, Sean Linsell coming into the chase. He's just behind Matt Morris. He's closed that gap up actually. At the start, he was about 3 seconds behind him, but Sean looks to sit behind him here, coming into the final corner as they start their 7th lap of Mt Panorama.
It's a long one, but yeah, look, they're settling in quite nicely. He had a few penalties and really good start to this race, and I think that a lot of the drivers are taking a really sensible approach. Stephen, sorry, my apologies, Sean is really putting the pressure on Matt Morris here as he looks inside to take the
Inside. Contact. Matt Morris runs a little bit wide.
Yeah, hit him there on the right wing, but it's not what you want, Yeah, I jumped there with something, but hey, it doesn't matter, boys.
Matty's pretty fiery too, boys. He won't like that. I know what Matt's like, and he'll take that to heart. And I'll expect once Matt, if he can get.
Sorry, boys. There's a car in the wall just back here in the Jiu-Jitsu corner. There's been a caution flown. Fellas,
Yeah.
Here we go back to a Bruzy U-Wrap replay. Let's see what happened. Oh, it's a leader of, that's James Foster, leader of TCR, making contact with an MX-5 of Hugh McLaughlin. Here we go, boys, our first safety car.
Oh, this is going to help Stephen Grimmer too, because he's just made his first pit stop. And yeah, just watching the replay back now, it's just popped up on my screen, and that was typical lap traffic. I'm not saying that it was anyone's fault, but yeah, that's unfortunate for both drivers. So Hugh McLaughlin, car 404, very lucky not to be taken out by one of the JP Sim Shed TCRs as well, as they made their way across the top of the mountain.
Yeah, so after 8 laps, we have a caution, and was it for me talking about how clean and how good they were racing? Who knows?
Call that the commentator's curse, mate.
Yeah, nah. But look, I guess the caution here will get them to settle down a bit maybe and rethink the strategies, fix any damage that we've got. Rob, what would you be doing?
I'd be following the leader, actually. I think right now would be looking at staying out. I mean, you just started your 8th lap, so you'd probably still have about 15 or so laps of fuel to go. Interesting that Stephen Grimer's pitted. Maybe that's to fix the damage that he had from crashing into the main straight pit wall. But now Jason Mikowski has a very good lead, and as they go back to green flag racing, we'll have to see if Stephen Grimer can come through the field, Terry.
Yeah, so the problem with that is because Stephen Grimer's already made his pit stop, this safety car is going to help him immensely, because he will now, although saying that he's dropping dramatically down the field, we're going to have to try to see what's going on with Stephen Grimer. No, there he is. He's coming under the bridge now. So another safety car doesn't come out in another 5 or 10 laps, and you'll see Jason Markowski and Tim Mulford have to make their pit stops under green conditions, which will then throw Stephen Grimer back in the hot seat.
Do we think if Stephen Grimer can make it through traffic, can he do the alternate strategy of doing a short stint and then 2 long stints, whereas Jason would have to do 2 long stints followed by a short stint at the end? What do you think, Tristo?
I guess he's the only one who really knows. But yeah, look, everyone can approach strategy differently. And I guess if you're not leading, if you're back in the pack, I would undercut. I've always seen Terry, what do? You go with the normal plan? Do you undercut?
Oh, look, I'll just keep going, to be honest. I mean, if you're really, really getting held up by other cars and you can't make the pass, then definitely come in early. But otherwise, I'll just stick to the plan. You know, as Neil Crompton would say, you've got to buy yourself a ticket to the last hour. It's when you need to start concentrating and working out a very, very good strategy for the end.
Yeah, no,
we might just have a quick run of the top 3 in each category at the moment. So you've got Jason Markowski currently leading the race outright and in the Kia Optima class, and you've got Tim Mulford in 2nd position. And remembering that Tim was a good 2.5 seconds slower than Jason in qualifying, but this is one thing that Tristan touched on during qualifying before the race even started, was the fact that these guys who aren't necessarily quickest over 1 lap, as long as they're consistent and stay out of trouble, they'll be there in the end. Now, Rob, we go back into our TCR class.
Yes, we look at the leader of TCR, James Foster, who just had that accident with the MX-5. I'm not sure if he has any damage, but James Foster is in the lead, followed by his brother close behind, Edward Foster. And then in 3rd, we have James Ruwalt, who is actually stuck behind an MX-5 here. So come restart, it'll be very interesting to see if James actually gets held up from the leading 2 brothers at the front. Do you want to run through the first 3 in the Mustangs, please, Tristo?
Yeah, sure, Rob, mate. Yeah, so we've got Ben Collard sitting there in 1st place, closely followed up by Paul Penny and Nichols running up in 3rd. So we've got the MX-5 to follow, do we, Terry?
Yep, as well as Paul Nichols back there in 3rd. I think we mentioned him in the Mustang. And then we've got the MX-5. So Stephen Besman, he's already currently 1 lap down, obviously, to Hugh McLaughlin in second place. Very lucky to be able to spot at the moment after being collected by one of the Foster boys coming up over the top of the hill. So obviously he's got away with that very luckily. And then Halloran as well, who's currently in third for the Mazda MX-5s.
As we have a look at the front of the class, safety car lights are out, so it looks like we'll be going back to green flag racing. For sports, I think, as Tim Melford is in the pit lane. I'm not sure if that is for damage. That doesn't look like it is for damage, so that might just be a regular pit stop, as we spoke about before with strategy. This might be to do that undercut of the front. It'll be interesting to see where Stephen Grimmer will come out at the end of this.
Yeah, definitely. This is why I absolutely love endurance racing now, as we're waiting for Tim Mulford to come out of pit lane. So, come out of pit lane. So will he be in front of Stephen Grimmer to hold that second position?
Nah, looks like Stephen Grimmer's got the jump on him there. So, a few cars have decided to take a pit stop along the race. So, I guess they've been working on this strategy for a while. What does it take to prepare for a race like this?
Oh mate, anything around Mt Panorama. It's a 2.5-hour race. It's not short by no means. I think it's about 2.5 stints worth in the Audi TCR, which is what I drove. You need to do lap every, like the back of your hand. You need to put in laps and laps and laps, and not just qualifying laps, because after 2.5 hours, qualifying doesn't really mean a whole lot. You're really after that race strategy, the race laps, making sure you can just do consistent time after consistent time, and just keeping an eye on what's going to happen in front of you at the end, Terry.
We should give one of our sponsors a bit of a wrap as well. That's, of course, UWrap. They provide an alternative to full custom paint schemes. Instead of getting a designer to complete a full custom work for you, with UWrap, you can choose from a list of templates which you can then change the colours of and add your own logos. As a result, the process is faster and cheaper than a lot of other design processes, and you still receive a car that is uniquely yours and yours only. That's UWrap, boys.
We'd also like to give a shout out to Abruzzi Racewear. It offers affordable custom sim card. Choose from the many set templates, or Abruzzi can create a custom design for your gloves, boots, race suit and team wear. Abruzzi Racewears, your way, your wear, your way.
Actually seen some of the Abruzzi stuff online, guys, and they produce a pretty good package, especially being able to custom make them with your own logo and colours.
Yeah, no, that definitely is some awesome sim racing equipment, and from my understanding, you can use it real well as well, but don't quote me on that.
I think you can use it for karting stuff.
Yeah, I believe they're rated for karting, so which is awesome. It means karting races that we've seen many times, karters come into iRacing to get their eye in just before a major event, and they can go and take their karting gloves and boots, their Abruzzi gear, and go use them in real world. As we come to the end of this safety car period, I believe, boys, I'm pretty sure we're about to go green flag racing here again at Mt Panorama, Bathurst.
So the tensions are up. I guess they're sitting there waiting for this light to go green. Terry, how do you deal with nerves in a position like this? Are you good with it?
Oh, look, in the real world, Tristo, it's no dramas at all for me. I very, very rarely get nerves in a race car, but when it comes to sim racing, I reckon I'll probably have the shakes up about now. It's funny, sitting here doing this gets my nerves going more than sitting in a real race car, which is quite strange. But you really have to be careful on these restarts too, because everyone's all bunched back up again. Everyone's trying to get track position. Cold tyres, which we've seen have caught a few people out already over the course of the last hour in practice qualifying, start of the race, as we see now James Foster and Edward Foster nose to tail through turn 2 once again. Breathe. Drink water, Rob. That's a very important thing. isn't it? To keep yourself hydrated when you're in the sim seat for such long periods of time.
Absolutely, mate. Plenty of sweat. Make sure you keep hydrated. As we see coming through, is Stephen Besman, I believe that's how you pronounce it. He's coming up, and there are plenty of lapping cars behind him. So I'm sure Stephen is watching his mirrors and also his relative at the same time to make sure he keeps out the way. As we see James Markowski coming through the depot, boys.
Yeah, although looking back down into a routine of consistency after that pace cut, they always upset things, and unfortunately, as we know, cautions lead to cautions. I guess what a long haul, we're on lap 10, still got just under 2 hours to go.
Going to have a look at through the field as well. We're commenting before that Tim Mulford held second position once we saw Stephen Grimmer with the issue in the Kia after he clouded the wall and had to come into the pits and get some repairs. But Tim Mulford now, he's dropped all the way back down to 37th. So he's 32 seconds behind our leader of Jason Markowski. So he's missed out big time with that pit stop.
Watching Stephen Grimmer come through the chase, caught up behind an MX-5. Blake Urquhart, new OP Sim Shed, sponsored by Brizzy. Very flashy with the chrome, which looks awesome. As Blake is trying to hone in the drive ahead of him, which is Rob Fitness, as they come up on a lapped Mustang area.
Yeah, so this is a great example of three different models of cars, 3 different classes of cars, and of course 3 different speeds. So driving in, try and thread the needle through the gap, and he makes his way past car 301 of one of the Mustangs there. That is David Miller, and past Foster as well. Oh, sorry, not Foster.
It's Blake Urquhart.
Yeah, Blake Urquhart. Now he's up the back. Of course, for position on track, but not position in class. So this needle holds.
That was a nice clean pass there.
James Foster, leader of TCR, coming down the mountain here. He's actually not that far from overall leader James Markowski. He's looking very quick in that Audi TCR. He's actually pulled a second and a half from his brother Edward Foster from that restart. That's only about 2 laps. So James is looking very, very fast in that Audi TCR. As we go on board to do this today.
Yeah, sure, Rob. I'm a little bit behind on the stream though, so it'll probably be a little bit off to what we're actually watching on the screen. We will have a chat, so we are coming over moment. Now, Rob, you're actually pretty quick in these cars. How do you drive these things fast? How do you get the ultimate lap time out of them?
You start with the correct setup. I believe things you can change with these cars. You need as we and eyes go, you have nothing really. So James has worked really hard on a good setup, and we're seeing dividends of it now as he's pulling away from his brother. About 1.4 seconds he is ahead of Edward Tristo.
Yeah, no, thanks, Rob. So these classes, they do have a bit of time difference in the laps, and they're not really competitive against each other, are they? But it makes all for a more interesting race, in my opinion. Terry, what do you think your favourite class is?
Well, look, that's a really hard one, Tristo, because I'm a big fan of the Audi, the Mustang, and the MX-5. Always have been a big fan, but Look, to be honest, I really enjoy the Mustang class. I mean, Mustangs have been in this sim from day one. They're a great car to drive. They've got plenty of grunt. And overall, I think they're just a really, really good package. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it's hard to sort of choose a favourite category. PCR, I mean, it's just crazy. You know, it's been extremely popular since iRacing has brought it into the simulator. And I mean, we've only got one make of car so far, which is an Audi LMS. I mean, how good's it going to be when we're going to have 3 or 4 different makes of vehicles in the TCR class, and it'll even add that little bit more variety once again into these PDC races.
Oh, I can't wait until they release hopefully Volkswagen, Subaru. I'd love to see those real-world cars coming to sim racing. As we see, James Foster is losing a bit of time down Conrod, which is expected to this the Kia, as the Kia is a much faster car. However, across the top, boys, we're seeing him really hone in on that Kia. What do you think, Trista?
With the Kia having I guess what he makes up through those allow him to steer but more than
Yeah, look, I think as the time will go on, I mean, we haven't seen Markowski make a pit stop yet either, and as Rob mentioned before, the keys are quite hard on the tyres, so I think gradually, each lap, we'll probably see the Foster boys start to reel in the Kia of Stephen Grimer, as we might have a quick look at some of the lap times that the guys have been doing. So we're on lap number 13 now. Last lap was a 2 minute 20.0 for Foster, and Koski, his last lap was a 2 minute 19.7, so about 0.3 of a second quicker is the Kia than the Audis at the moment, but I'm sure that'll change once the tyres start to drop off the Kia.
And it also comes down to fuel as well. Distance you can get per tank, how much you're able to fuel save on these cars. Loads that each car has from.
I believe the Audi PCR has 75 litres a tonne, and I'm sure the Kia has a much less tank, which will come back to strategy. As we're having a look at Peter Hunt coming up towards the Velocity magazine driver, followed closely by Darren Caldwell in the Audi TCR class.
Looks like we may have had a black flag for John Halloran. Apparently. And that could have been one of the incidents that we saw earlier. Just trying to have a look for John Halloran in the field now. Can't see him. So Halloran's currently in second position in the MX-5 category, and he was the one that was tied up in the incident with one of the Foster boys, so he will more than likely probably lose his second position to Tristan Moore as he gets gobbled up by a Mustang coming over the Skyliner down the S's.
Yes, that crash did throughout the caution. As we see a Mustang passing a Mustang. I'm not sure if that is for position or if that is a lap Mustang they're passing. However, we're just looking here at Jake Manhire. He's run closely with...
Yeah, that is for position, I believe, Rob. So
Madison just behind him.
Jordan Nicholson looks like he's losing a little bit of time there in the Volt Lightning Mustang.
It was a very nice pass there down Conrod straight. He obviously thought about it, planned it, and he executed nicely.
As we see, these three Mustangs in screen are for position. Jake Manhire, Grant Manaford and Jordan Nicholson.
It's a pretty good battle we've got here. It's good to see that people aren't leaving anything behind, and with racing respectfully, they are racing hard. And even though it's I guess it's a short endurance race when you think about it, but yeah,
I think
it's
when
one
you
of those
think about it, it's a short endurance race if you had another driver, but being a single driver, having to sit there for 2 hours and 20 minutes, I mean, I reckon some of these drivers will be getting to the 1.5, 2 hour mark, and they would have had enough, I think.
As you see Ray Oliver just getting overtaken by Nathan Clark. That is the use of the slipstream there, boys. As we mentioned before, the draft around here is pretty big, and there we see it in stream.
How good do those Abruzzi deliveries look too on the Audis? They look fantastic. The of course, JP Simshed cars, they always they just pop on the track. I absolutely love deliveries, and that was one of the things that brought me to the team, actually, was just how good the cars are presented on the track.
Here we go, battle of three in the TCR class. We have Blake Urquhart for JP Simshed Abruzzi. We have Pat Gallo for Mark 1 Compert. And then we have Rob Fitness, who looks to be running a Audi Sport factory car. Who do you think will get in front of this one, boys?
I think Pat's got him on the inside here. He'll get past Blake on the straight.
I think Blake will have a better run up Mountain Straight here, as Rob Fitness might actually have a go here as we run on board with Pat Gallo.
Yeah,
It might go side by side through here, through turn 2.
Who's going to... Blake moves across and protects his line. What do you think, Terry? Do you think Pat's going to get him around the outside?
Well, look, it's a good possibility, but they just need to calm down a little bit. We're still only not even 40 minutes into the race yet, so it's still plenty of time to go.
Very respectful though. Good racing, good clean racing. This is what we'd like to see. Pat's pushing back up behind Blake here, who very risky go for a pass across the top of the mountain. What do you think about that, Rob? Passing across the top of the mountain?
Yeah, it's very sketchy for sure. I usually try and avoid it where I can, but like we said, passing across the top is very hard around here. Nearly almost single line driving as the boys come down through the dipper. I believe they're coming up to a Mustang ahead as well, so that may help Pat Gallo getting past Blake Terry.
Just having a look here, what are the differences in straight line speed with the Audi and the Mustang? They'll be pretty similar, wouldn't they?
I'm not sure myself, Terry. Rob, you aware of the top speed?
I'm not sure on the top speed, but as we see, TCR just flying by that Mustang.
There we go.
There we go. There's
Right on cue.
Here's Pat in the draft of Blake Urquhart. Will he send it up inside? He has a look, but he doesn't go for it. Sits behind Blake for another corner. But he might have a go into the final corner as we come under the arm roll side.
Oh, and didn't he just drop into the pits? No. Thought he was going to the pits, but that's just a bit of a fake, maybe.
Pat's had a good run off the final corner. He might have a good run on Blake here into turn 1. Pat's up inside, backs out.
Yeah, it looks like he's in no rush to get this past. And think of the pressure this is putting on Blake. He's not only going to pay attention in front of him, he has to watch behind him. Terry, Pat is being very sensible about this pass, isn't he?
Yeah, he certainly is. He's not throwing everything all at it at the moment, which is probably the smart thing to do. You could need to wait for the last hour, half an hour before you start playing those sorts of games, but he's just letting him know that he's not going to be a pushover either. I mean, that's the last thing you want other drivers to know and to be aware of the fact that, you're an easy pass, because then everyone will be trying to make the move.
It's definitely these two drivers. As we go on board with Blake Urquhart here leading the pack. of 3. Sand and Miro, is that Pat up the inside? That's Pat up the inside. Gets the move. Very good move by Pat Gallo.
Risky, but he got it done, and he got it done cleanly. So, full effort. A+ there.
Here we go to the Abruzzi Wrap replay. On board with Pat Gallo up the inside across Reed Park. A lot of respect also, boys, shown by Blake Urquhart just to give him the room. He didn't nudge over to the left-hand side. And also by Pat Gallo, he didn't run Blake to the wall. As here we go back to live footage. Pat Gallo coming into Conrad Straight, Terry.
Stream here, guys, so I'll let you guys call it for a minute. I'll just try and get this back up.
Yeah, no, all good, Terry. Yeah, he's just coming down Conrad, thinking about going into the chase here, and this is the highest speed of the track. You've basically got everything on the line here and into this braking point. Got to hit all your marks. Leaves it 4th still with these TCR cars. That's very high gear.
That is 4th gear, usually through the chase if you can get it right. Sometimes we go 3rd, but if you can get it right, we go 4th, as we are now started our 17th lap. I believe we aren't very far away from pit stop. We've had a pretty good run here so far. We're about 45 minutes into this 2-hour and 20-minute endurance. Tristo, do you think more carnage to come, mate?
Look, that'll depend, buddy. Everyone is driving out there today with a lot of respect and trying to drive fast, but trying to drive clean because they want to be there at the end. There's no point in driving fast the whole race and then crashing out and not being there, is it, Terry?
Oh, that's exactly right, and we mentioned it at the start of the race. You know, the main word for the day's racing has got to be patience. You have to be patient. You can't get yourself in any silly little incidents, which we've seen a couple happen with lap traffic so far with John Holleran and James Foster. Unfortunately, Holleran copping the penalty.
Oh! That's
Yeah.
James Foster in the lead overall of the race. Has a bit of a moment with an MX-5 lapping the slower car. As here we go, leading class car, the Kia, James Markowski, has a bit of a slide through the chase, gets the job done on James. So this, boys, isn't a fight for class. This is a battle for overall position. Terry, do you think James could drive away from... do you think Jason could drive away from James?
Look, what I think Jason should do now is just let the 2 guys ahead go. He's got a big enough lead at the moment. Of course, Grimer had the issue. Mulford, I don't think, has the outright pace to keep with Markowski. So instead of getting involved in the silly little battle, let the 2 brothers go and maybe just try and sit in behind the rear wing until he has to make a pit stop.
I believe James Ruwalt has just gone into pit lane. So here we go, guys. We're coming across pit stops now. Strategy. Who is going to get the benefit of it?
Yeah, we just saw Rob Frisdale leave the pit, so he's obviously just had a pit stop done there.
So we see James Ruwalt getting the car lifted up, which means in SimWorld they are getting new tyres. I'm not sure if he's doing just the front or just the rear. At this early stage, I'd probably just do the front, as they're a front-wheel drive car. All the work's done at the front. But it'll be interesting to see when the leaders of James and Edward Foster and even Sean Linsell will pit as they try and get the benefit of the doubt in these pit stops.
Yeah, so being lap 18, you really would think that it is about time for these guys to start coming around and making pit stops. And I'm going to be excited to see when Jason Markowski comes in the pit lane and then see what the 2 Foster brothers do as well, because James and Edward, I mean, they're looking pretty good up the front of the Audi class at the moment, but they're going to want to win outright as well. It's probably what they'll prefer more, to win their class. So they're going to be going out and headhunting Jason. So we see them coming across the top and down the mountain now. And you can really see the tyres of Jason Markowski starting to go off in the MMS Esports Kia Optima.
I think Jason's under a bit of pressure here. Rob, you think Jason, what's he going to do? Is he going to keep fighting them off, or is he going to let them go?
I think
I really...
I think with Jason being in the fast, you should either try and build that gap or just let them go, because at the end of the day, yes, he might not win the overall leaderboard, but he still won the class. So I believe winning the class would be more of a feat than winning the overall. Do we see the TCR boys come in? No, they've stayed out for another lap. We'll continue on.
This is the other thing too, guys. They're losing time. There's Sean Linsell back in third position by being held up by Markowski. So we're going to have a look at Linsell now as he comes across the start-finish line to see what his time last time round was. So he's done a 2 minute 22.1, where we go to the car of Edward Foster. Oh, no, so they're actually quicker that lap. Never mind. My point is not valid.
So the Foster boys have just gone 6/10 quicker than Sean. That might have something to do with the draft as they come down Conrod and go up Mountain Straight. The draft from that Kia might be beneficial. So if they continue to stay behind that Kia, they may continue to grow to Sean as we come. James Caldwell coming into the chase. So
We probably should mention too that Stephen Grimmer has dropped well back in the order. He's a lap down now, down in 33rd position. So he's had an issue that we've missed, and he was certainly one of the drivers who was competing for a victory here today.
Well, I'm just thinking maybe we should go through the top three of each class again, guys. Rob, start us off.
do it. So overall class or race leader is Jason Markowski, followed by Tim Melford, P2, which is 15th overall. And then down the field as we look at Stephen Grimer going across the top. He's third in class, but he's also sitting 31st overall. I'm sure Stephen wouldn't be very happy with that, as we know he's a very fierce competitor and he would love to win this race. Terry, would you like to read out the top 5 of the TCR class, mate?
So we've got James Foster in the JP Simshed, a Britzy and an Audi TCR LMS, and then we've got his brother Edward Foster back there in second position. Those two have been nose and tail. Be able to throw a blanket over the both of them since the start of this race, which is exactly 51 minutes ago. And then of course back in third position, who's been a bit of a quiet achiever today so far, is Sean Linsell. And then Nathan Clark back there in fourth, and Ray Oliver in fifth.
As we see Markowski pit. I'm not sure if he'll be out of fuel yet. He might be. However, I'm sure his front tyres would have well and truly gone past their use date now. Use by date now. Tristo?
Yeah, I'll update us on the Mustangs, and in first position we have Ben Collard, second, apologise if I haven't pronounced your name correct, and in third place Paul Nichols. Terry, finishes off with the MP5 one.
Certainly. So we've got Stephen Beshman there in first position in car 406, with Hugh McLaughlin back there in second position, and he is currently, they are both currently 2 laps down, and Tristan Moore is back in third. And we did see John Halloran get that penalty earlier. He was holding second position in behind Beshman, but now he's all the way back to 45th position.
Like we've spoken about a lot of times, guys, patience is the key across the top of Mt Panorama as the two Foster boys come across the top. They're getting held up by these Mustangs, but I'm not sure it'll be too great that they'll be losing a lot of time on Sean, as he is now 6.5 seconds behind. Once the Foster boys get past this next TCR, sponsored by Momo, I'm sure they'll then be able to create that gap again. As the TCR car that they were lapping is now in the wall at Forest Elbow. I'm not sure who that was.
No, but that was close. That could have caused to crash out the leaders in the class and almost over. One day, I hope he didn't cut him. You know, I guess people get nerves in sim racing, just as Terry was explaining.
We're just trying to track down and see who that driver was who did put the car into the wall, and I believe it was Jack Anderson. So Jack Anderson is, at the moment, is in 30th position, so he's not having a good afternoon, but he's still managing to hustle the car around the circuit. So maybe a little bit of damage, but not enough to put him out of the race, which is good for Jack.
Sean Linsell from P3 is now coming to pit lane. I wonder if he can do the undercut. It was about 6.5, 7 seconds to the Foster boys at the front. But can he use the new tyre to his advantage? I'm sure he'll get front and rear tyres, or maybe just the front tyres. Can he use these new tyres to his advantage and try and close up the gap of the Foster boys? As now we have a look at Nathan Clark, who has just taken over Oliver, is now in P4.
The Abruzzi U-Wrap replay, we saw that it was Jack Anderson who actually moved himself out of the way of James Foster, and in doing so, he made a small mistake which put him into the wall at the elbow.
James is going up, starting to go up across the top of the mountain. And yes, look, even though we talked about passing across the top of the mountain, like, it is dangerous, but we have seen it occasionally here today. And I guess if you are passing a class that is a lot slower than you, and you know you can get it done cleanly, then, and they give respect back, it's not too bad. You definitely need to look at many different passing opportunities with a race like this, don't you, Rob?
Absolutely, mate. As we see the Foster boys come through the elbow, there's about a second between them. Ray Oliver coming down the dipper. He's in P4 at the moment. Really good start from Ray. We're coming up to the hour mark. I'm sure these guys are starting to think about pit stops. In fact, I'm not sure why they haven't pitted yet. They must still have a fair bit of juice in the tank. As the Foster boys come up to this MX-5, and he squeezes them. James is in the sand trap. Can he keep it off the wall? He's done very well there. Re-entering the track. So James just lost the lead. Edward Foster is now taking the lead. Was that James Markowski just going past him?
Yes, it was. Markowski's now gone back past him from the pit stop. So that was a massive moment for Foster as he got caught up with that lap car.
As we go to the Abruzzi URAT replay, slow-mo, sliding through the sand trap. The Jinx shifters Audi LMS TCR car. And there we see on screen Jason Markowski driving past. Guys haven't pitted, but it's a very big moment between James and that MX-5 car.
Probably should have a quick yarn about the guys that are on the lead lap. We've got 26 cars that are still on the lead lap, and out of those we have one Kia. So maybe that wasn't Markowski. He did pass them, but it wasn't for position. So Markowski's actually gone a lap down with that pit stop. So we've still got a good number of TCR cars all on the lead lap. We've got one Kia, and we've still got 4 Mustangs as well that are on the lead lap, that being Ben Collard, who's currently leading the Mustang series at the moment, and Alan Holgerson, Paul Nichols, and Tony Pincan. Just want to get a bit of a... Sorry, Rob, you go.
As we now cross to Edward Foster going across the top, the leader of the race and also the leader in class. He's looking very good. I wonder if James can now close that gap. It's about 4.5 seconds. Can James call that time back? We saw at the start, James could pull away from his brother Edward. But can he close that gap as we come into pit stops? I'm sure their tyres are well past their use by today, as Edward would now have to fight past.
I just want to have a bit of a shout out to one of our drivers out there and in the TCR class. That, of course, is Ira Felberg. Now, Ira's currently in 19th position in TCR class. He was nice enough to give us a little bit of media information about himself. He actually raced against Garth Tander in the go-kart days, back in the early go-kart days. He was born in Canberra. He moved to Western Australia about 14, where he's based now, and he's 47. He's got one son and absolutely loves his sim racing, so good on him.
Yeah, no, I've run a few times, and he's a very respectful and clean racer, and well, how many people can say that, you know, that they've raced with Tander? What an honour. Even though he was young, still, Rob, wouldn't you like that honour?
We've
Oh,
got a
mate,
pit
I'd
stop. We've got the
absolutely
leaders
love
in.
that honour.
Yes, you certainly have, haven't you, Terry?
We've got Edward Foster and James Foster both in pit lane. So the leaders of the race now have taken the opportunity to come in for their first pit stop with 59 minutes scored in this race time. And it's
Sean
going to be
Linsell.
very interesting.
Sean Linsell coming to the chase. Can he make that undercut work on the fresh tyres? We're about to see if he can come out less than 7 seconds between him and the Foster brothers. Running a zebra-looking Red Bull livery. I believe this is similar to the livery that the Formula One testing livery used on the Red Bull car, Terry. Do you remember
very
that
cool.
car?
Yeah, I do. It's certainly very striking, isn't it? You certainly don't miss it out on the circuit.
Will Sean pass the Foster?
Imagine if he splits them in two. What's going to happen there?
Oh, he's got. He's past him, as we see in the background. One of the Foster. Sean has pulled 5 or so seconds on the Foster brothers. That is a big margin.
Massive. Well done, Sean Linsell. And as we mentioned before, you know, he's been the quiet achiever in the race so far, and now he finds himself leading this race outright.
Could this be a matter of Sean putting in less fuel than Ed and James, doing the undercut, getting that clean air, and now in the next pit stop, which I'm sure they're going to have around the 2 hours, will he have to put in more fuel than Edward and James? What do you think, Tristo?
Possibly, only he knows. But look, you have to try different strategies in these races. You know, there's so many different ways that you can go. If you don't, then you could have thrown a podium out the window. Terry, you've got to try new things, don't you?
It does depend. I mean, if things are going to plan, I'll stick with the plan. You know, something my old man used to say to me was, "Don't fix what's not broken." But I mean, if you're struggling and you're probably mid-pack or maybe a little bit off the pace than what you thought you may have been at the start of the race, and definitely start trying some new strategies, because I mean, it can only go one way. And I mean, I guess majority of people are here to win. You do have your drivers that are just here to have a bit of fun. It's a bit of a social outing too, isn't it? Sim racing at times. So, you know, when they'll start looking at, I guess, throwing a different strategy at the board, probably in the next 30 minutes if they're not where they want to be.
As we see Shane Witt come into pits for his first pit stop. Mt Morris crossing the start finish.
Sorry, Rob, we've had a big incident up the top of the mountain. Rob Fitness has gone into the wall big time, and I dare say that will probably be his day done. Coming through Sulman Park, it was nearly identical to Anton De Pasquale's accident during the Bathurst 1000 when his throttle got stuck open. He's gone straight into the wall there massively. He's clipped the wall on the inside, and hopefully we can get some vision of that.
So I was just looking before, and it looks as if we've got a few position changes up in the TCR class. And Matt Morris is up and running second. Shane, he's put it up 19th, but he's currently running first. I guess different pit strategies and all that. It's look, they're having a go, you know.
Minimal contact between Ed Foster and another TCR car. Edward is just trying to get in front and get out of the way of the lapping TCR car. Makes minimal contact as we see them coming across, about to come under the tree, Fujitsu corner as they call it. I take it, Ed will now be stuck up behind this TCR car. Might cost them a few tenths, and they're also catching an MX-5, which will also hold them up. MX-5's done really well to get out of the way there.
Just looking at Shane Witt, he started 19th and he now leads this race. Has he not pitted?
I believe he is just pitted. He's just pitted, or he's in pit lane at the moment.
Now, Robert, but he has this position. He doesn't just have to.
Robert Northway does not have to move out of the way. This is actually for position as they pass another MX-5 coming down Conrod. I'm sure Ed would love to. I'm sure Ed would love to move past Robert and get the job done as soon as he can, so he can build that gap on his brother, who's actually closing the gap now. The gap between the two Foster brothers is now 1.5 seconds. As they go side by side, come to the chase. The gap is now under a second for what is potentially going to be the class lead of the Audi TCR class.
We've also got a black flag for Adam Neal, car number 29. He's had an unsafe re-entry onto the racetrack, unfortunately, for Adam. So he's going to have to come in a pit lane and serve that penalty.
That is unfortunate.
Oh, Matty Morris has made contact with a Mustang as well, coming through turn number 2. That was with Grant Matterford, and Grant is currently down in 33rd position and 7th position in class in the Century Batteries Mustang, but slight contact, everyone's back on their way again.
And here comes James Foster, making up ends meet on his brother, having the battle in front. They're not going to go 3 wide. Through contact, 2 cars in the wall. Ed Foster and... Oh, there's another Jinx shifter as well. That might have been Tim. Ed Foster is now going again. He might have some damage on that front right quarter panel of his. Yes, he does. There's quite a big damage. Oh, I don't think so. Both the cars got re-going again. Here's a slow-mo, Bruiser URAP replay. Big contact. That's Matt Morris and James Ruwald also involved. The track isn't blocked, is it, Terry? Oh, MX-5 coming in hot. There are cars. Another TCR car going.
Oh no, this is massive.
Very big contact coming up to the cutting. We know that corner is blind on entry, so the following cars would not have seen them coming. And there is a caution. We're on to the second caution of this race. Edward Foster may have to pit for that damage that he suffered in that accident, which is very unfortunate because he was running in first place overall. So you may have lost some time to James and Sean Linsell as well. Terry?
Going to certainly throw a breeze to the wind, as we're going to have to wait probably another lap to really see where our leaders are at the moment. But currently leading is Matt Morris, followed from Sean Linsell, and it's going to be interesting. Oh, it looks like Edward Foster's stayed out on the circuit, so the damage from that accident probably not enough to satisfy himself to come in and into the pits, lose time and fix it up. So the car must be steering reasonably straight, guys.
Yeah, we're under pit as we're under the safety car. Matt Morris is in overall lead. Trusto, do you know if Matt Morris is pitted or not yet, mate?
No, I'm unsure of that, Rob. Apologies there, mate.
Well, just have a look at Matt's laps and see if he has pitted. Oh no, that would have been on the safety car, so I don't think Matt has pitted yet. If he hasn't, it's going to be any moment now that he's going to have to come in and do a tyre change and fill the tank up.
But that would also mean he's managed to get a lot more out of the car, hasn't he?
Definitely by a long way.
So Matt Morris must be really fuel saving here today.
Yeah, Ross made a good point. So Edward wouldn't have been able to pit under the safety car in the first lap because pit lane would have been closed. So we still might see him come in the pit lane, Rob, and have to take on some time to fix that damage.
Absolutely, mate. As we go through the order on track, this is not race position. This is just at the moment. We have Matt Morris, followed by, is that Grant Matterford in the Mustang?
Believe it is, yes.
Oh no, that must.
We have 2 Mustangs followed by Sean Lindsell. So that gap between Matt Morris and Sean Lindsell, P1 and 2, there's 2 cars between. Come the race, they have some drama involved.
Oh, big time, I think. Because if this time's doing anything to go off, then it would be, you would expect that James Foster would be quicker than Sean and Matt Morris in race trim. It could be a completely different story.
Just as we're approaching a halfway point, too, boys.
We are
Terry,
too.
Yeah, we're at the halfway point, so this could be an interesting end this race, Terry. What's going through these guys' minds?
Well, at the moment, I think what's going through Matt's mind at front there is I need to get in and get this pit stop done so I can get back out while the safety car's still out and circulating around the circuit. But we're certainly getting down into the serious part of the race now, and we'll go back through some of the positions for you. So we've got Matt Morris out in front, Sean Lindsell in second. James Foster and Edward Foster have been the pace setters. And here we go, Matt Morris in the pit lane. So he will make his way in the pit lane.
2 Mustangs follow Matt Morris into pit, and that is Edward Foster. Ed has come into pit lane to fix that damage.
Yeah, so really by the looks of it out in front at the moment, it's Sean Lindsell and James Foster. But have a look at the gaggle of cars that are coming in the pit lane. This is going to jumble the grid up massively.
I do also believe, boys, that with these pace syndicate events, there is one fast repair. So that means you can come in, click a button, and your car is fixed from whatever the damage may be to perfect again. This might be the time where Ed Foster has to use that fast repair to get Sean and
He has used it. He's gone in. I think he's top. Now he's coming back out onto pit lane. Oh, sorry, onto the circuit from pit lane, Tristo.
Yeah, look, he had to. In my opinion, Ed had to. If he wants to stay in contention at all with this race, he had to use that fast repair. Rob, go ahead, mate.
Yeah, mate, we believe under safety car, we're going to have a few wave around. So viewers, don't be concerned if you don't pass in safety car. We'll have car 45, 355, 407 and 406 driving. So this means if you're a lapped car and you're in the middle of maybe a battle pack or something, these cars will get waved through, which will mean for this next start will should be a lot cleaner, Terry.
Yeah, so just having a look at that. So that should really mean, so I'm just making my way through. So Sean Lindsell will lead, and then we'll have James Foster right behind him. So this is going to be very exciting. We saw James and Edward Foster at the start of the race. They took off. They had the pace. They left Sean Lindsell, Matt Morris, Ray Oliver, and a couple of the other guys well back. And I guess they really, really took the start of the race by the neck. They've had a couple of dramas mid-race, a couple of incidents of lapped cars. But now we're going to see who has got the true pace out of Sean Lindsell and James Foster. And we go back to Edward Foster. He hasn't lost that much either. He's only lost a couple of positions, or one position really, to Ray Oliver with that quick tow, the quick repair that is used in pit lane. And then we'll go back to Nathan Clark, Peter Hunter. But at the moment, it really looks like Matt Morris, Sean Lindsell, those two guys, of course, James Foster, Edward Foster. And now we need to talk about the outright class win, because we've had some issues with the Kias. But have a look who's made himself all the way back up to sixth position, and that's Tim Mulford in the Kia Optima. So big from him as well. We know that the Kias are probably a little bit quicker than the TCR cars in this format. So that could be another cat in the bag as well, lads.
Absolutely. As we are on this second of usually 3 laps of safety car, having a look at the field, it seems to be TCR, Mustang, TCR, Mustang. So come green flag running, Tristo, this is going to be very interesting to see. Some of the guys may get held up, especially as the leader of the group is actually a Mustang and not a Kia or TCR.
Yeah, no, for sure, mate. It's going to be a very interesting second half to this race. You've got I'm not even going to put who could win or who could do this because it's anyone's Rob Terry. Anyone's race, Terry.
Rob Terry.
Yeah.
Boys, just quickly before we go green again, I just want to give a quick shout out to my old man, Brian Nightingale. He's in a nursing home at the moment in Bathurst, and he's fired up the computer. He's actually tuned in and he's watching us. So it's good to see the old boy tuning in, getting with the times of technology and checking out the sim racing.
Good on you, mate. Hope you're well.
Yeah, no, good on you, Brian. Keep well, mate.
Looking at no, we're not going green flag running this time, but
I think we
yes,
are.
we are. We are green flag racing. I'm not sure what happened to that Mustang. Sean Linsell takes the green flag. James Foster is half a second behind him. Then we have Ray Oliver and Nathan Clark.
And Ray Oliver has certainly been putting in the practice laps this week. I've seen him in a couple of servers, so he'll be consistent. As we see James Foster now in the tow of Sean Linsell. He's going to go on the outside. Linsell goes on the defensive now as they make their way into turn 2. But Foster up the inside of Linsell. This is the battle for the outright lead and the class lead. And Foster just misses the back of the car. And this will allow Ray Oliver now to come up in the second position. And Foster, a little bit aggressive on the restart, has found himself back in the third place.
Well, up the inside goes Foster. That is a very big move. I believe that might be Nathan Clark, the pace Syndicate car. So now here we have Sean Linsell. He's pulled a gap of 1.5 seconds on James after that move up the inside of Griffin's Bend, turn 2. Let's see if James can claw that time back. We know he definitely has the car speed and the pace under him to do very good times. James's fastest time of the race is the 2:19.7, whereas Sean has done a 2:20.3. So there's a good 7/10 of a second between the two guys there. What do you
that's
think,
exactly right. Sorry, Tristo.
No, all good, mate. Wasn't me. But look, I'm just watching this battle back here with Edward Foster and who's in front of him there? Pat Gallo, is it?
That's Pat Gallo, yep.
Yeah, look, they're getting quite intense. You know, Edward realises he's under pressure here, and he's out to pass as many as he can, as quickly as he can, so he can get back up there.
That was the safety car. Well, wow. Could this be good news or bad news for Ed Foster? We know he had to do that extra pit stop for the damage. That is
What
very
happened?
big news. Another safety car.
But if he's got, he didn't put fuel on, did he? He did his fast repair and out again.
I think he did top the tanks up. He was in pit lane for a little bit longer than you would be if you only went in for a quick repair.
I believe as we have a look at pit lane, at the back of pit lane, there is a very damaged Ford Mustang. That would not have been a very good accident to be. Hopefully his race isn't over, but I'm sure he would have had to take a tow, which is about 3 minutes or so around here, guys. But under safety car, Ford Mustang might only fall a lap behind.
Yeah, well, what's the old saying, boys? It's safety cars, and that's certainly what's happened here at Mt Panorama for PDC 3. Our third safety car of the day. Certainly going to eat into our time, into our clock as well. Now, will we see the guys come in for a second pit stop, Rob? I'm not sure if we will, because with these pit stops, they're certainly using a lot less fuel than what they would be under green conditions.
Absolutely, you'd think the guys would stay out for now. Last race I did around here, there was actually a few safety cars after safety car after safety car. I stayed out, but unfortunately, due to the capping of the TCR, the fuel tank, I actually ran out of fuel with 2 laps to go. So it'll be very interesting to see if these guys manage to stay out and save that fuel under the safety car. sure if we go on board with Sean Linsell, he'll be in 6th gear, cruising across the top of the mountain.
We'll have another quick opportunity to have a bit of a shout out for our sponsors, and one of our is URAP, and URAP provide an alternative to full custom paint schemes. Instead of getting a designer to complete a full custom work for you, with URAP you can choose from a list of templates which you can then change your colors of and add your own logos. As a result, the process is faster and cheaper than a lot of other design processes, and you still receive a car that is uniquely yours and yours only. So that's URAP, guys. Make sure you have a look at them. And if you are interested in sim racing, if you're involved and you want to, you can't paint your own car because it's a little bit difficult. I've tried to do it, I can't do it. Then check out URAP, and they'll certainly put you in the right direction.
Guys, just while we're here under safety car, David Miller has actually been given a 30-second penalty. That might have been involved. I believe he was the Mustang that was damaged in pit lane. So that could be his race over. However, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Pace Syndicate Events, Kyle Stevens. Thank you for allowing us to do this today. A lot of to this, and to you and your guys, thank you from SimSpree Broadcasting.
Another big, we probably should give JP a shout out too, JP Courier, who's, I mean, he's behind the scenes, he is on top of it, isn't he? I mean, his passion for sim racing and JP Sim Shed, which he started himself from nothing. Now I believe there's over 1,200 likes or something on the Facebook page, and yeah, he's done a really fantastic job with this whole gig, and it's pretty special to be a part of, isn't it, boys?
Yeah, nah, for sure. He's a special bloke to be around, and he's doing amazing things to help the sim racing community, and the more we can do to get behind him and look after each other, that's what we do in the sim racing community, isn't it, Rob?
Absolutely, mate. We're always looking out for each other. I believe we got 2 laps to go here. As we see Jason Markowski, after that earlier incident, he's actually up to P8 overall. So being in the Kia, more horsepower down the straights. As we jump on board with him here, you can hear him use the clutch. He's trying to save maximum fuel. And with more horsepower, I think he will pass these TCR cars, guys. What do you think, Terry?
Well, I think it's a very good possibility. He's certainly got the power in a straight line, and has the torque as well going up Mountain Straight. But then the problem is trying to keep that lead, remembering that the tyres are going to be nice and cold on these cars too, because we only really have 1 lap of running, which wouldn't have been enough time to get the pressure and the heat back into the tyres after only 1 lap before our safety car come out again. So this restart, hopefully we can get a couple of laps green, boys, and everyone can sort themselves out in position.
Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think Rob Crisdale has now taken the lead of the Mustang Club, followed by Jake Manhire and then Tony Pinkham.
Too sure. According to me, it's Paul Nichols that's still leading.
Yes, it is, sorry. It is Paul Nichols, sorry, yep.
One. That's David Miller. We have mentioned he's been given a 30-second penalty for causing 2 incidents. So poor old Davey Miller has found himself in the wrong place at the wrong time.
But look, incidents, that's part of the game. You know, you deal with it, move on, you learn from it. It's something that's going to happen, and I think as far as it goes, you're just going to learn from it and try and better yourself next race. You agree with that?
Absolutely, mate. You got to, if you have mistakes here, you got to take it on to the next round. We know these races happen once a month, so there's a lot of time for practicing and making sure your mistakes are fixed for the next race. As we have a look at the field, this is Peter Kropp we're looking at now. We go to Adam Neal going across the top of the mountain. The safety car lights out yet, Terry?
Having a look now as they make their way across McPhillamy Park, the safety car lights rather, are out, and we should go racing this time around. And it's a battle of the big boys out in front, Sean Linsell and James Foster, first and second. Back to Ray Oliver in third, Nathan Clark in fourth, Kyle Stevens in fifth, Pat Gallo in sixth, Then we've got Edward Foster, another one of our drivers who we think that have the pace to win this race outright. And right behind him, this is what I'm looking forward to. This is what has me excited. Jason Markowski has now made his way back up to 8th position after being a lap down in that Kia. And we saw before he did have the pace to lead the race. So if he can find himself making his way through a couple of these lap cars, we could certainly see him trying to have a battle with Sean and James out in front. Matt Morris all the way back in 13th place. He's led a couple of laps of this race. So I think the safety car might have hurt him a little bit, but we do know that he has the pace to be able to come back up and try and get back in the top 5.
Now they're going to be on cold tyres here, they caution, aren't they, Rob? So they're going to have to take extra care on this restart.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. This restart will be similar to the race restart. We know they've only pitted less than 5 laps ago. I think it was about 2 laps of green running before the safety car came out. So these guys will have fresh new rubber. I'm predicting we'll see some pretty fast lap times here. Sean Lindsay will take the lead for the race. James Foster will be closely behind him, and then followed by Ray Oliver. We haven't spoken much about Ray Oliver here. He started mid-pack, he started down in 11th, and now he's back up to 3rd. So that's a very good start from Ray. We're just over halfway into the race. We're coming up to 1 hour and a half mark, 1 hour and 30 minutes in. Here, what do you
I think he certainly will be, as we see the safety car peel off in the pit lane. But yeah, he's been the quiet achiever all day, really, hasn't he? Sean Linsell started off as that, but started to make a bit of noise as we go green once again. An hour and 25 minutes into the Panorama Drivers Club 3, better known as PDC 3, as they make their way through turn 1 once again. And look at James Foster all over the back of Sean Lindsell. And it looks like Lindsell may have lost a bit of time coming out of turn 1, boys, and this will allow Foster now to get right up behind him. He's been aggressive all day. Probably needs to tone it down a little bit and think smart as they go side by side in a turn 2.
We saw this last restart as James goes around the outside.
Oh!
Very
He's
brave
done it.
move
He's
from
taken
James
the lead.
Foster around the outside. I'm not sure if Sean slowed him up there or what happened there, but James definitely got the move done. All clean, all fair. The boys are off and running. And now P1 and 2 have about half-second gap back to run. And then you have Pat Gallo and Ed Foster closely behind.
We should ask the question as well, boys. We're talking about Jason Markowski in the Kia. Will he need to make another stop? Will he make it on fuel?
That's the big question, I guess. And if a couple of laps either way is going to make a difference, so he may not be able to race for outright honours here. Oh, as we see Pat Gallo go wide and into the wall there at the cutting.
Sean Linsell has to be careful here as well, because he is pushing very, very hard, trying to stick with Foster at the moment. We've seen a couple of very hairy moments across the top of the mountain on that restart. He can't get sucked in this. Oh, and we've got another safety car.
Another safety car here, boys. So this will be very important for our guys. They're running 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I think, overall, but also in class. These guys are going to want to save as much fuel as they can now. As you see, James Foster and Sean Linsell turn it down a gear, go back to 6th gear, and just coast, come into the final corner.
Yeah, at the moment. Sorry, mate, my stream's playing up and I'm just logging back in. So, Terry, take us away.
Yeah, well, this is... Rob, this is too exciting in the sweat, and I'm not even having to... But, no, you're right. They're going to have to save as much fuel as possible. And we were just talking about Jason Markowski in the Kia, whether or not he can make it, as we see a URAP replay of what's happened there. And it's an MX-5 that looks like Hallinan. It could be in a Mustang involved. So another case of 2 into 1 doesn't go. And I do believe that that was another incident involving quicker than the other, trying to lap, and it all goes wrong from there.
So we're seeing these instances are faster cars trying to get past slower cars. It has been the TCRs coming in together with the MX-5. Terry, what do you think the MX-5s can do? Like, they're trying to get out of the way, but to the TCR drivers, it's just there to be a bit more patient. What do you think is to go there, mate?
Yeah, I think so. As we mentioned before, you know, in a slower car, you've always got one eye in the mirror, one eye in front of yourself. And the best thing to do in a situation like that is just keep your racing line. You know, leave it up to the guy behind you, the quicker driver, to be the one who has to decide which side to pass you on and how to get in front. I mean, when you start getting confused with each other, when I had an incident in qualifying at Bathurst a few years ago in the Utes where a similar thing happened with someone that was on a slower lap, which caused me to go into the wall. But anyway, driving error.
That happens.
It does happen, but it's just communication between the drivers. Obviously, I mean, they can talk to each other in sim, which I think is a little bit frowned upon though, but yeah, you just need to keep an eye out.
As now we're
Matt
having
Morris as well. Sorry,
mate. We're having a look at Matt Morris here. We know he pitted, 10 laps after the other guys. He has a lot more fuel than the leading cars. These safety cars, Tez, do you think he can maybe save enough fuel to make it to the end?
I think he'll definitely make it to the end now. It was, what was it, about the hour mark, a little bit after the hour mark, that we saw Matt come in and pit before, and that was under Nelly Green running the whole time. So we have had three or four safety cars since then, which is going to allow Matt Morris, I think, to be in the hot seat. So time will tell, and I'm just praying that we can go probably the last 40 minutes without a safety car, because I'm keen on some green running, really keen to see what Lindsell can do, Foster can do, and of course Markowski back there in the Kia.
We saw with the first stint, they were about 50 minutes, 45, 50 minutes. We now have about 50 minutes left to the race to go. Matt Morris, it's going to be very tight. I'm sure he's trying to save as much fuel as we can. As now we're having a look at Ed Foster. You can see he's just sitting in sixth gear, trying to save as much fuel as he can. We know with these race cars, the lower revs you can keep, the more fuel you're likely to save. So if Ed can keep doing what he's doing, I'm sure the guys ahead of him are also doing the same thing or thinking about strategy at this point in time. If they continue to just save fuel, maybe we could see green flag running and no more pit stops to the end of the race turns.
I'm wondering if as well, sorry Tristan, I'm wondering if as well, do you think James will slow down Sean and Ray possibly to help his brother come back up and try and gain that 1-2 photo finish that they probably want to see at the end of the 2 hours and 20 minutes?
I'm not sure. I know they'd like to see it, but I think just in James's instincts, his instinct is to go. And James wants this win like nobody else. Like I said earlier in the broadcast, James Foster has won the first 2 PDC events, and he's looking to take the third on the trot. So I can't see James slowing down, mate. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the end.
Yeah, no, look, everyone's out to win. You know, really, if you're not out to win, what's the point of being here? Look, I know it's good to get better and all that, but this PDC3, this is it's a thing to have the honour of winning one of these events would be quite an honour. And look, it's interesting to see how these guys they've been racing hard and racing clean, consistent, and they're at the front of the pack most of the race, but a caution like this could change everything. What do you think, Terry?
Yeah, certainly. It certainly changes the dynamics of the race. Now we've slowed everything up. The clock is ticking down. We've been on the safety car now probably for 10, 12 laps, you know, in the last 20, 25 minutes. So heat temperature's down, concentration levels are down as well. And you quite often see if a driver's in the zone, he's in the zone. Once he starts backing off and slowing down, that's when he starts making mistakes, because I guess that muscle memory is a little bit different to what it would be when you're driving at 110%.
Absolutely, mate. And as we have a look at this Mustang of Tony Pinkin, I believe that is the Rusty French livery. I really like that livery, the black and gold. We saw Thomas Randall driving that around Phillip Island, and man, that looked awesome. What do you think, Ted?
Yeah, they are a fantastic looking livery. And you're right, Thomas Randall did run that livery, but the black and gold, the old, what is it, the John...
JPS, John Player Special. livery.
The JP Courier Special. No, it's... no, they are a very, very good looking livery. And I just love retro round too, don't you? When the supercars come to Sandown, you see all the old liveries. I think they really, really are cool. And some of the creative works that come out of those retro liveries are awesome.
Do you think, Tristo, we could see retro liveries or retro rounds come to sim racing? I mean, for the Scops, I believe they do it at Imola every year or every season or something. Do you think maybe we could do it with the PDC event, Tristo?
Oh, for sure we could. You know, the more we bring real life across into sim racing, the more the two merge. And look, I've also seen retro round in Ant's car, which is something an awesome league for the NASCAR type class cars. And look, it brings a change to the atmosphere and a fresh face on your new car. Retro round in PDC3 would be great.
Maybe that is something that we could look at for future references. I know a lot of the teams go into a lot of hard work to get these cars looking how they are. I mean, I know from our point of view, JP's Sim Shed, JP's put a lot of time in to get these cars looking the way that they do, and they look absolutely fantastic. Because now we have a look at Blake Urquhart. Here we're talking about this Abruzzi livery. What do you think, Tez? The chrome, orange, black, mate, I reckon it looks fantastic.
Chrome, fluoro orange and black are my absolute favourite colours on a race car, and I even had a helmet wrapped in chrome, fluoro orange and black, so when any of those combinations come together, it absolutely pops and looks fantastic. And I'm so happy that iRacing has brought in the fact that now we can have chrome liveries, we can have chrome on the cars, on the wheels. It certainly adds a new dynamic and a new aspect to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%, mate. As the safety car lights are out, James Foster will look to take the field away for another restart. As I say, safety cars breed safety cars. However, in the top 6 or 7 cars, it is just TCR. And then we have Jason Markowski followed closely in the Kia. As they go green flag running for another time, got about 49 minutes left of this race to go. Tristo, do you think James can pull away from Sean here?
Look, it's quite possible. Tyres, they're about equal. Let's get across the field a bit. But it looks like he's putting a bit of a gap there. And I guess this is important running into the last part of the race. Because if he gets that bit of a gap, the others are going to have to work twice as hard to chase him down and get that part. As we see Jason Mikowski there making a good inside pass on Edward Foster. Wasn't it correct? Oh no, Blake Urquhart.
Terry, what do you think if the guys at the front...
Sorry about that, Rob. Mark Cosby ran very, very wide. He was caught out on cold tyres into the tyre power cutting and nearly ruined all the good work he's done today. Running very, very wide and just scraping the wall. He was quite lucky to get away from that as he does get in front of Edward Foster. Sorry, Rob.
Mate. So you see how James has now pulled a gap on Sean. It's now a second and a half. And then 1.4 seconds back to Ray Oliver. Do you think with these guys doing such fast laps, do you think they might have to pit again without them saving fuel? What do you think, Tez?
Oh, look, I can't see them having the pit again. I'm not too sure. It would be good if we could try and maybe grab one of the drivers or maybe someone from the team or one of these guys to come and have a bit of a yarn with us if possible. But I can't. I reckon they'll make it to the end, but I'm not 100% sure.
We'll see what we can do on that one. We'll see if we can grab one of the drivers and see what they're thinking. See if they have enough fuel. I'm sure they'll be a bit cheeky and they won't give it much away. But yeah, let's see if they can make it to the end. I'm really keen for this end. What do you think, Tristo?
Yeah, it'd be good to have a talk to one of the drivers, get their perspective on it. But look, it could be touch and go. They might have to make a small stop, maybe. But look, honestly, I see them going good all the way to the end, not needing fuel. I think head down, concentrate on their markers. It's going to be a tough battle.
Yeah, you're certainly right. It is going to be a tough battle. And James Foster, as we know him too well, puts the pedal to the metal flat out. There's no 50-50 speeds in James, is it? It's just go or stop. And, oh, here we go now. So, Jason Markowski in the Kia. As we mentioned before, it looks like he's going to have a go up the inside of... Actually, no. Oh, yeah, he's got Ray Oliver. So, Markowski runs in the third position outright in that Kia, and he looks like he's on fire. He's got good pace in that car. Now making his way up through the traffic, and he's got Markowski all over the back of him. He may have been held up by that Mustang then.
Ray runs very wide.
There you go.
We see Jason Markowski is now running third in class, third overall, still running first in class. From that restart last lap, we saw he was running about 6th or 7th overall, so he's managed to use that Kia to his advantage and get past those slower cars of the TCR. Let's see if he can hone in the two ahead of Sean Linsell and James Foster. I'm sure he will be able to get them coming into the chase. What do you think, Tristan?
Yeah, look, looks like he's Edward's just lining up.
Edward's having a go at Oliver, isn't he, Tristo? He's really ducking left and right. He wants to get past his car of Ray Oliver as Oliver runs a little bit wide out of the elbow, and this is going to allow Foster to have the run down, Conrad.
Yeah, look, he's just sitting there nicely behind. He's not going to do anything silly at this point, and he's just going to take his time.
Remember, these guys are teammates. These guys are teammates, so they will not want to make contact. As Ed Foster goes past Ray Oliver with the slipstream coming into the... Do we think Ed Foster can now close up the gap of Sean Linsell? We saw at the start the two Foster brothers away from the P3 and P4 car. Can we now see Ed Foster closing the gap to Sean and James, whilst not using too much fuel that he'll have to pit again, Terry?
Sean and Jason having this battle for second position as well, that will certainly slow them two up, and it will allow Edward Foster to get onto the back of these guys. But Markowski now has a look up the inside of Mountain Straight of Linsell. They're going to go side by side in a turn. And just like that, Jason Markowski makes his way back all the way into second position. He's had to fight hard for it, hasn't he, guys? He hasn't had a smooth afternoon at all, but a couple of things have gone his way with the safety cars, and now he finds himself hot on the tail of our race leader, James Foster.
Yes, absolutely, mate. It'll be interesting to see come to the end of this race. We've only got about, about 40 minutes to go. It'll be interesting to see if James can hold on to those front tyres of the Kia Optima and close up that gap of James. We know James is a very good pilot. Keep with Jason. In fact, earlier on in the race, he actually passed in the Kia. So it'll be interesting to see if Jason cannot use the edge of these tyres while holding off Sean Linsell in third place, second place in class, but also catching James Foster. What do you think, Trista?
Yeah. Sorry there.
Yeah. Don't sound too excited, mate.
Yeah, no, look, he's got to keep his head down and concentrate. You know, anyone can make any slight mistake, and that little mistake will let the ones behind catch up. So the pressure is on all the time. Just because you're leading, you might have a few seconds out front, but the pressure's in more, really, if you think about it, Rob.
Absolutely, mate. We know the Kia has the straight line speed over the TCR, but we also know that the TCR seems to be a fair bit quicker over the top of the mountain. What do you think, Terry? Can James hold off the raging Jason Markowski in the Kia?
Well, lap times don't lie. That time around, James Foster with a 2-minute 20.117, and right in behind him is, of course, the car which I've just lost of Markowski. and his last lap was a 2 minute 19.5. So he's half a second quicker at the moment than our race leader, James Foster, and is pulling away from Sean Lindsell. And I don't think we have any lap traffic for the next lap or two. So this will really allow Jason Markowski to put his head down and drive flat out and try and get onto the back of James Foster.
We also have a look, coming back into fourth, last lap, Ed Foster did a 19.9, which is quickest of the top. Sean Lindsell did a 20.7. So Ed is nearly 9/10 of a second quicker than Sean. Can Ed Foster realm in Sean Lindsell? What do you think, Trista?
I think it's possible. I think it really is possible. He's pushing hard. He wants this position. I really feel that he doesn't want to accept anything less, and he wants to take this. He's going to do everything in his power to give this the good old go, Terry.
Tell you what else.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what else is interesting, guys. I've just noticed that Matt Morris has made a pit stop. He is coming for fuel and tyres. So is that something? Will that be a tail at the end of the race? That Matt Morris, if the cars have to pit again, he is sitting in the hot seat at the moment.
Absolutely. We'll see if this undercut can work.
The safety car could destroy that for Matt, though.
If we see another safety car, we've had 7 or 8 laps of green lap running right now. Will there be another safety car? As James now
Certainly.
comes into the chase.
Certainly keen to see what sort of lap times have been done by the top 5 guys in this last lap. You'll just see that green blob getting bigger and bigger in his mirror. He really needs to focus in front. Make sure he's not looking too much in his mirror. As that time around, he does a 2 minute 20.0. And Markowski rather. I've just lost him, guys. He does a 2 minute 19.4. So again, 6/10 quicker. On Lindsell with a 2 minute 20.0. He's just done his fastest lap of the race. So Lindsell hasn't given up yet. He's still prying every single little thing out of this Audi TCR car. And Edward Foster as well, 2 minute 19.7. The fastest TCR on the circuit at the moment, lads.
So is Ray Oliver back in 5th place. Ray's just done a 220.77. That is his fastest lap of the race. But now as we look at Ed Foster coming up to the tree, there's a slower Mustang up ahead that might hold up Sean. So is a TCR car.
And that's Jack Anderson. He actually just held up Markowski a little bit there. Not his own. It wasn't his fault though. He was trying to get out of the way and do the right thing.
See Ed coming up behind Jack Anderson here. Oh, Jack's trying to get out of the way. Nothing wrong with that. May have held Ed up there for a second or two, but that is okay. Jack tried to do the right thing and let the faster car go by, Tristo.
Yeah, look, you can do what you can, and you saw he was getting out of the way there, and so full marks to him. But Edward, he's got his head down now, and he's sitting in 4th position in TCR. Look, coming into the last part of the race here, boys, it's tensions will be quite high inside those cockpits right now, Terry.
Yeah, they definitely will be, Tristo. The pressure will really start to mount on these drivers now. As we just have a quick run back in the Mustang category, Paul Nichols is still leading that one from 3 seconds over Tony Pinkhead, and then Ben Collard another 20-odd seconds behind him. And we also, Ben Collard being the last driver on the lead lap and sitting in 22nd position. So still 22 cars in the lead lap, which I think is pretty good considering we started with 49.
Absolutely, mate. And as we have a look back at Nathan Clark, Kyle Stevens and James Ruwell, that is a battle of 3 cars for P9, 10 and 11. The 3 of them are within a second of each other. It'll be interesting to see who can come out the best of that one.
to Markowski in second position in the MS Kia. Lost a second in that last lap to James Foster with the traffic, so he will be a little bit frustrated with that. As we go back to Sean Linsell, he did a 2 minute 20.1. Edward Foster with a 2 minute 20-point run, and Ray Oliver with a 21.5. Boys, we've been travelling now for 1 hour and 48 minutes. What's your take on the race? We've had a fair bit of action so far, and where we sit now on the closing times, Rob and Tristan, who do you think's sitting in the hot seat at the moment?
Well, I think James Foster will be very hard to beat. He's driven very well, very fast, very consistent from the start. As now we have a look at the battle in 11th. Nathan Clark, Kyle Stevens and James Ruwell. The three of them are for position, very close. They're all within a second of each other. Hopefully there's no contact between the three of them, Tristo.
Yeah, no, that is the last thing they would want at this stage. They'd want to keep the cars as clean as possible and bring it home across the line in best shape. I guess you do what you can do. You can't foresee the future, but it's battling out there all day. Like I was saying before, the physical build-up. You know, you near the end part of the race. It's almost 2 hours, Terry. They're going to be beaten up out there, aren't they?
And there will be, and you know, little things like needing to go to the toilet, things like that, that'll start running into your mind as well after running for an hour and 50 minutes. We should probably mention too that these three guys here, Rob, are all teammates from Pace Syndicate.
Absolutely, mate. And the last thing they would want is car contact. As you see, James Ruwell under the rear wing of Kyle Stevens. Can he get the job done down at the chase? Goes up the inside. Can he hold it off? Gets to the apex nicely. Well done, James. No car contact there. That's the last thing that they want. Now, can James catch up to Nathan Clark ahead? As we've stated, these three are teammates. They're probably using the same setup as well. As Nathan Clark up ahead is now on the back of Blake Urquhart.
To lap times. I haven't got lap times for James Foster, unfortunately, for that last time. Oh, we've got another caution, a safety car. This is going to be interesting. This is going to throw all Matt Morris's plans out the window by making that pit stop to fill the tanks, and this should be able to get the guys home now.
That has thrown a spanner in the works. When you least expect it, something always happens, Rob.
Absolutely, mate. We had plenty of green running then. However, now we have a safety car. There's about half an hour left of the race. Can the guys make it home, Terry? That is a big question, mate. What do you think?
Look, we've been umming and ahhing about that. We've been trying to get some info for the teams. Everyone's tight-lipped about it. No one wants to let the cat out of the bag. But then again, I'm just a commentator, really, so who knows?
Terry, you've done many races around here, mate. Real life and sim racing. Where do you think the hardest place on the track is, mate?
At 23 and number 1. I know it sounds funny, but they really are, especially turn 1. Turn 1 is such a later apex than what you're expecting. You have to turn in so much later, and your brain's always telling you to go in early. You quite often find yourself wide a lot of the time. Another hard corner that I find that's very, very tricky at times is actually the right-hander before Forest Elbow. Yeah, that can really, really get you, depending on what you're driving. I mean, the car's very unsettled there under the braking coming into the Forest Elbow, and it's a corner that if you take lightly, you can certainly see yourself in the wall very quickly. But best part of track anywhere in the world, in my opinion, is definitely going over the top between Silman Park and Skyline. Just the terminal speed across the top of the mountain with such little area to make a mistake is, for me, just the absolute ultimate, Rob.
Absolutely, mate. Now, with half an hour to go, we do not want to see anything happen. We're now under safety car. Nearly 25 minutes to go. tyres are worn, still have a bit of an edge on them. As you can see here, James Foster in the lead. That is overall race lead. And then James Markovsky in the faster Kia is just behind him. I'm sure he has enough fuel to finish. And then behind him is Sean Lindsell. Sean has been very quick today, the underdog more or less. And then in amongst those pigeons is also an MX-5 between Sean and Ed. So, Trusto, do you think this MX-5 might cause some drama in the restart?
Look, it's quite possible that they do. And I guess the best thing to do would be move out of the way as safe and quickly as possible and let them pass. It's going to happen anyway. You don't want to cause an incident, and you want to get the faster cars out the front so they can race. Terry.
Well, we're hoping soon we may be able to possibly get a driver up here for a chat. We're just behind the scenes now trying to make that happen. But as you can imagine, the drivers right now, probably the last thing they want to do is talk to us commentators, because the strategy is certainly unfolding and playing out into our hands at the moment.
So it looks like we have another penalty just handed out here. Car 355, if I'm correct.
I believe you are correct, Tristo.
So that's Rob Crisdale.
It's our own Robbie Crisdale.
Well, Chris Mustang has unfortunately got a 30-second penalty. I'm not sure what that was from. Maybe that was the cause of this safety car. Have you guys seen anything that I haven't?
I have not, no.
No, I haven't seen anything either.
The safety car lights are still on, so I believe we're going for another lap here. Because now we have a look at Ben Collard in the Mustang. We're trying to catch up to the pace car, I believe these guys are. Bit of damage on the front. Not sure what has happened there to Ben, but maybe that might have been from an earlier incident. But yeah, he's definitely got some damage on that front right. What do you think, Tez?
Well, Rob Crisdale's just retired. He's left the service, so unfortunately for him, his day is done. And I do know Rob is a big PDC fan and certainly enjoys his time on track with these guys, so that's a shame for him. He'll be utterly disappointed. We're still waiting for these lights to flick off on the Porsche safety car, which I think they may have they? We're still flashing lights as the cars make their way down into the chase. And how many laps have we completed now, guys? We've done a fair few, haven't we? We're up to lap number 40, about to start lap 41.
Yep, and just over 20 minutes of the race left. Have we seen?
Oh, here we go. They're all
starting to
pitting.
happen? So we've got literally everyone in contention pitting here, don't we, Terry?
Hang on a second. Remember, Matt Morris made that pit stop a few laps ago. This will probably seat. We need to see where Matt Morris is on the track at the moment. Exactly what he's going to do. Oh no, Morris is in the pits as well. So, what has happened there? I would have thought that he filled the car up, changed the tyres, and would have had enough to get home, but no, he doesn't. So, this has changed everything as well with Matt Morris.
Yeah, no, it definitely has. I would have thought he would have had enough to finish, but look, he obviously hasn't. But look, this is going to bunch everyone up, so...
Markovsky as well, Tristo, sorry to cut you off, but he's opted for 4 new tyres, which has held him up massively in pit lane, and he has been absolutely swamped.
Yes, that could be a costly mistake, and it may not have been intentional, Terry.
Possible. Possibility that he may have left that on in his pit sequence and they've changed the tyres without him wanting to.
Yes, no, that could be costly. That could really be costly. So everyone bunched up here, so it's going to be a sprint to the finish, Terry.
It will be. It's going to be all-out war, I think. and we're not going to really have much of an indication on who's going to be where until the next lap as we wait for the guys to go around under safety car again. And this will probably be the last lap under safety car as well, guys.
Yes, it will, as now we have actual commentary from one of the guys that has just been given a black flag and has actually just left the server, Rob Crisdale. What happened there, mate?
Basically, I had an incident with Mt Panorama, as you're wondering, so it was basically my fault. I got told to wait for a car. I pulled over to the right-hand side, probably slowed down the weight, probably too much, and he came over the hill and slammed me back.
That is no good, mate. Was that the reason for this safety car here?
No, that was the safety car was already out, but I went in the pits, came out, and then got told on the server to wait for a car, and I've done this before where I've gotten a penny if you don't wait, so I decided to pull over to the right-hand side of the road, but obviously slowed down too much, and Matt didn't see me coming over the hill and obviously slammed in the back, so sorry to Matt.
Rob, Terry Nightingale here. We're watching you out through the for the broadcast there, and you look like you're having a bit of fun. To be now sitting up with us and watching it with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing, but you know, you live and learn by all these sort of things. It's good fun out there. It's just a bit hectic when the restarts when you're all bunched up amongst each other. So, but no, it's good fun.
One of the main things that we've been pointing out, Rob, through the course of the broadcast is the fact that a lot of the guys in the mid-pack cars, say like the Mustang, even the MX-5s, you've got one eye on the mirror and one eye ahead of yourself. And how hard is that when you're trying to have your own battles, you're trying to be competitive yourself, and having to deal with the faster cars coming through lapping you?
It's extremely difficult, to be honest. The guys in the TCRs obviously want to get through you. Some of them are probably a bit too impatient, as we've seen. So you're trying to get past the MX-5, you're trying to watch your mirror all the time. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's just need to be a bit more patience for the next one, but they'll get through on the straights. But yeah, it's pretty difficult, to be honest. But the only thing with I'll say with the Mustangs, in terms of iRacing server, is that hill or skyline, the curve there, for whatever reason, if you put your front wheel on it, it basically rips your wheel off.
Absolutely, mate. Well, Rob, thank you for joining us. Unfortunate to see you out, mate, but thank you, and we'll see you at the next one. As now we've just gone live here. The lead car seemed to be slowed up. As now Nathan Clark from Pace Syndicate event. It's actually PDC 1, 2, and 3 here.
Oh, wow.
Wow, they've really got the start here. We've got Nathan Clark, James Ruwald, and Kyle Stevens here. Well done by those boys. Can they make it to the entrance?
They will, I'd say. I think they'll be fine to go all the way to the end here. And look, just before I saw Edward Foster run wide and hit the wall, did he? I'm not 100% sure on that, but look, it's all over the place, as you can see. They're challenged to get past those slower cars, but they're out there now, and they need to set back into that rhythm. It's going to be a really fast sprint race in these cars at the end.
Absolutely, mate. We're looking at the times. Nathan Clark, his best lap time was a 20.6. James Ruwald was a 20 flat. Kyle Stevens was a 21.0. Then we scroll down the list, we have a look at James Foster, who's just gotten past Ira Freiberg in P9. His fastest lap time was a 2:19.7, so his fastest lap is nearly a second faster than the lead car. Terry, it's not over yet, mate. We've still got about 20 minutes, 25 minutes to go. Oh, sorry, just under 20 minutes. 18 minutes to go. You can catch up to the leaders again.
No, I don't think you will. I think these three Pace Syndicate guys, Clark, Rewalt and Stevens out in front, I think they're going to control this now. They need to pray that there's not another safety car, and they need to get to the checkered flag, of course, without making another stop. But I think that the three teammates from Pace Syndicate, I think they're the guys to beat now. And who would have thought it? We've had the two Foster brothers, Lindsell, Matt Morris, Ray Oliver. They've all been quick all day, and Markowski as well. Where has he gone? He's well down in 21st position. And at the blink of an eye, safety car at the wrong time for those guys. Oh, we've got an incident down at Murray's corner too. We've got 2 cars that have collided on the last corner. And I think one of them may possibly be Brad Clink is involved. And we've got
Brad was
Robert
sitting in
Northway as well.
there for a sec. From that restart, Brad was doing really well. We haven't really spoken much about Brad today. Brad was sitting in 4th or 5th. Is now, I believe, Kyle Stevens has just taken the lead, or am I wrong? Just have a look at a Bruzy the URAP replay. And Brad Clink was definitely one of those drivers involved. Not sure who the other TCR car was though.
Yeah, that was Robert Northway. So the URAP and Britzy replay showed that they both come into Murray's corner and 2 into 1 doesn't fit. They've both collided and managed to get the cars going again though, although Northway is sitting there at the access road, but no, he's back on the circuit again.
That has now given a good 5.5 seconds gap between these 3 PDC cars. Wow, boys, it's heated up again. How good's this, Tristan?
Oh, look, it's awesome. It's what we love to see when it comes to this type of racing. And this is what PDC3 bring. This is why, you know, the more involved, the better. It's great racing. It's tension on the edge of your seat stuff. It's just having a look back here. Edward Foss he's trying to make moves across the top of the mountain, and he's got the 2 Velocity TCR cars running behind him there, Terry.
Oh
Yeah,
wow,
so-
mate. It's the top here. Oh, Matt Morris in the wall. Does that matter, or is that Peter Hunter?
Just a quick look there.
I believe that was Matt Morris. We have a look at a Bruzy URAP replay. Matt Morris cuts the corner, gets on the there was a grate there, hard into the wall. That's both Velocity magazine cars around. Hopefully we don't see another safety car, boys.
Yeah, fingers crossed we can stay green because I want a 15-minute battle, not a 2-minute battle. And yeah, no, he's just lost it all on his own. Into the wall big time, and he's taking his teammate with him.
We knew from the start Matt Morris had pitted early. He did the alternate strategy that we haven't really spoken about much, or haven't really seen here for PDC. And yeah, wow, that's not very good for Matt. As now we look at these top 3 again, we can see Pat Gallo, Kester Mack, and Ben Henniker in the background. The 3 of them are trying to catch up to these lead packs. These guys, Nathan, James, and Kyle, are really working well together here, Tristo.
Yeah, no, they are, and that's one thing you need to think about in these races is working together. The person in front may not necessarily be your teammate, but you need, like, as we're seeing, with a few instances here today, Terry.
Yeah, no, it's been happening all day, unfortunately. And just having a look at the lap time. So Nathan Clark, he's not messing around at all. 2-minute 20.3. He's fastest lap of the race the last time around, but he does have his teammate right up behind him. That's Jason Ruwalt, with a 2-minute 20.4. And they're just putting a little bit of a gap now on Kyle Stevens back in 3rd position. James Foster, his last time, 2-minute 25. So he's lost time trying to pass some of the other cars. And really, with less than 15 minutes to go now, I think it's going to be a tough ask for James Foster and Sean Linsell to get up to the back of these top 4 runners. And we probably should mention as well, they're about to pass Richard McGoffin, one of our MX-5 drivers, but Pat Gallo back in 4th position as well. He's had a quiet but successful day.
Absolutely. As we have a look at the top 4, Nathan Clark started from P8. He's now running 1st. And then we also have a look at James Rewalt, started just ahead of Nathan in 7th. But then Kyle Stevens started 12th and Pat Gallo started 10th. Kester Mack started 26th. Like, wow, boys.
Yeah.
These guys have really started from... You know, they've come through. Haven't necessarily been the fastest in qualifying, but we've seen over this 2 hours and 20 minutes that their strategy has come second to none. And Nathan Clark and James Rewald at the front. Nathan has just done a 20.5 and James has just done a 20.3. So James Rewald is about 2 tenths quicker But you can see these guys are working together. They're not fighting each other. They're not costing each other any lap time. And I can't see these guys falling behind. What do you think, Tristo?
No, look, they'll be on each other right until the end. And I was just looking at the temperature, and it's dropped a little, but not a lot. I guess that's why we've seen some lap times drop. Look, the pressure's on, Terry, until the end.
It is. It is a sprint race now with only... How many laps do you think we'll get in, boys? 5 laps, maybe?
What have we got left? We've got about 12 minutes left. It's about 2 minutes 20 a lap. I think we're looking at 5-6 laps max. I think, boys. It'll be fastest 5 laps of the race. I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Nathan Clark. I'm not sure if these guys have. I mean, when it comes down to it now, they're not going to come into any team orders. But I wonder if there's a sort of a respectful team thing that they've come out and said, look, you know, if there's 5 to go, whoever's in front can keep it, or whether or not they're just going to go flat out and race to position, which I'm hoping they do. Last time around, Nathan Clark, his time was a 2 minute 20.5, and as I lose them all once again, James Rewald I think was a little bit quicker that last time. He was a 2 minute 20.3, and Kyle Stevens has just dropped back a tad with a 2:22.3. So must have had a bit of a moment last lap in the U-Wrap Audi TCR.
Up the inside goes James Rewalt. Both left plenty of room for each other, which is very good work from the teammates. Bit of an awkward moment there, Tristo, wasn't it? James got up on the curve of the chase, but couldn't quite get the job done. As the car was in mid-air, he didn't really have much turn, and that allowed Nathan to get the exit, Tristo.
Yeah, look, you need to be aware all the time, as you know, and that could have easily come unstuck, you know, if he got a little bit too far over and hit the grass. But I guess you're battling for position. There's only a few laps left, 10 minutes of the race. You're going to have a look at everything possible where you can get a pass in to take first place. Well, I know that's what I'd do. What about you, Terry?
Oh, look, I'll just be doing everything I can to try and either keep the lead on what position I'm in. I mean, what Kyle has to do at Nathan Clark has to do at the moment. He just looks forward, pretends that there's no car behind him, and just tries to put lap after lap, consistency after consistency. When James is up close enough to him, he'll see it in his eye vision, and that's when he'll have to start to defend. But at the moment, he just needs to go as flat out as he can and keep his eyes forward, not backwards.
Yeah, well, that's it. You've been racing for 2 hours and 11 minutes. You've done all the hard work. You're not going to let that position slip out of your fingers by nothing, are you? You're going to push and you do everything possible to take home that first position, Rob.
Absolutely, mate. We've seen in the last race that safety cars come towards the end and you often see cars bumping into each other, car contact. When these Audi TCR cars, as we've spoken about, front-wheel drive, they're almost like a little touring car. Well, they are a touring car, but almost like a little V8 supercar type car. They can cop the hits and everything. So, come to the end, Terry, we might see a little bit of Biff and Barge come to the end here, mate, as we see...
Oh, here we go. Look at this now. Clark goes on the defensive. Rewalt around the outside. They're going to go run side by side into the chase. And Rewalt takes the lead from Nathan Clark with an absolute gun move around the outside of the kink in the chase. And now they're going to have to negotiate 2 lap cars as well.
Oh.
And this is going to allow Clark to come up the outside. And he's got back the lead with a slower Mustang getting in the way. Rewalt takes the lead but has to let Clark back through again, Rob. That was a very, very crazy moment.
Wow, that was, yeah, like you said, mate, that was very crazy. I wonder if that was team orders coming down.
Nah, definitely not. I just think, like I was talking about before, you know, you're down to the last few laps. You don't want second, you want first. You've been driving these 2 and a bit hours. You're gonna do everything you can to take that first position. It's
tell you who's sorry Tristan to cut you off. I'll tell you who'll be absolutely kicking himself at the moment is Jason Markowski. The lap times that he's been doing the last 3 laps, 2 minute 20.8 last time around, 2 minute 19.1 the second last time around, and the lap before that a 2 minute 18.1. So he had the pace to win it, just the strategy wasn't in the right place.
Yeah, and it's interesting we talk about that word strategy again. It's a few words we've brought up in this race: patience, strategy. A lot of words that are associated with.
Oh no!
Oh! Pat Gallo, sorry Tristo. Pat Gallo's in the wall. We have a caution with 7 minutes to go. I really hope this does not stay under the safety car as we're having a look at a Bruzy U-Wrap replay. That was very awkward. We saw that damaged Mustang driving around with, like I said, the damage on the front end. Pat Gallo went to go around the outside coming into the and unfortunately, it just went all wrong. So now we have a safety car. 6 minutes to go. Yeah, I hope we don't finish on a safety car.
It's quite possible we might, guys, but then it could change everything too. This I did not expect. I did not expect this, guys.
We have a pace syndicate, P1, 2 and 3. I tell you what, James Foster is now in P4. James Foster is in P4. He was like 10th like 5 laps ago. He has gotten through all the lapped cars. He can run with these guys. Last lap, James did a 2:20.4. The lead guys, Nathan and James, were mid-21s, and Kyle Stevens was a 22.3. So James is a lot quicker than these guys. I wonder if James is actually now in the box seat to take this win if we have any green flag running.
Yeah, I don't think we will. Looking at the time, 5 minutes to go, under 5 minutes to go.
It's usually 3 laps to safety car, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, that is a shame. Hopefully there's a miracle and we're able to finish this race on the green, because overall it has been an absolute nail-biting thriller. And for the first time of us boys commentating together, it's been quite an enjoyable race, hasn't it?
Yeah, look, it has. It's been a great day, great exciting racing, great clean racing for most of it, no respect. It's been great to call. Awesome calling the race with you two fellas. It
doesn't feel like it's been 2.5 hours we've been sitting here, does it?
Definitely doesn't. Been good fun. Thank you, Tristo. Terry, thanks for the late call up, mate. It was
thanks for
awesome
having
to
us,
have you
mate.
along. It's awesome to get a real life race car driver. It doesn't happen much. It doesn't happen very often in commentary. We have a real life race car driver commentate a race and get his insights into the race in terms of strategy. Like we said at the start of the race, Bathurst, Tez, it's like the back of your hand, mate. You can see the track from your house.
It's funny you say it's on the back of my hand. It's actually tattooed on my wrist. I see it every day. It's no, it really. I love Mt Panorama. It is the absolute holy grail of things and anything in the world to me. And yeah, to be able to sit here and look out the backyard and see it there, I'm very, very lucky. But no, thanks again for having us. Hopefully, guys, it's not all over yet. Hopefully, we get a green lap in. But I don't like the looks of it.
and it's not just a great racetrack, is it, Terry? It's an awesome place to visit in the beautiful part of the country.
It really is. 46,000 people are here now. We're actually bigger than Orange in New South Wales now. Orange was certainly the biggest little city in Central West, and we've taken that crown from Orange, and it really is a great place to live. It's got everything you need. We're only 2 hours from Sydney if we have to go into the big smoke for anything, and it might be a small city, but it's still got that country, close-knit community feel about it. Everyone knows everyone, and although it is expanding very, very quickly all the time, it's not just about Mt Panorama either. We've got one of the best universities in the country, being Charles Sturt University, and just the infrastructure in Bathurst is really, really good. It's forever expanding and getting bigger.
Shout out to the bakery in the main street. I may or may not have had a meat pie and a sausage roll in the main street of Bathurst. It's an awesome town. Great racetrack, one of the best in the world, I believe. It's definitely the best in the country. And yeah, we love coming here every month. Thank you to Pace Syndicate Events for having us. It's been awesome to call it, and hopefully we still got one more lap of green flag running.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the lights go off the pace car as it heads down Conrod Straight here, going down into the chase. It's what are they going to do? Will we get one more lap?
It'll be interesting to see if they will bring out the checkered flag next time around, or whether or not they'll have a green lap, one lap to the end. Now, wouldn't that be a nail biter? I'll probably fall off my chair and have some sort of a cardiac moment, I think, if that was the case.
Tension's mounting. I think if we just see one more lap, that's, yeah, look, that could be carnage, or it could be the most exciting lap we've ever witnessed. No, looks like the safety car's staying out.
Safety car staying out this lap, but hopefully next time by coming down Conrod, we will see the safety car lights. Safety car lights. So that is very good. We will be going racing next time by.
Does that mean we get a green white light because we've got one lap left? There's only 15 seconds into the race.
Does that mean that we will finish under the checkered flag because the 2 hours and 20 minutes will be up?
I'm thinking we might.
It'll be a green flag, checkered flag running, I believe, guys.
So these are
This is the finishing position, I believe.
This will be it. This is.
I think now, guys, we can read out the list of the order. So we have Nathan Clark. Well done, mate. This is your first, I believe, podium and win for PDC. James Ruwalt. I know I've had a few battles with you in the past. Very good driver. Finishing P2, starting from 7.
Hang on a second. Actually, Rob, I've just had a little birdie in my ear. They reckon that there will be at least one more green lap.
Wow.
controversy.
One more green lap.
That's what I'm hearing.
This is what we like to see. Tension. Imagine that, racing all of 2 hours and almost 20 minutes to come down to this one lap if we get it. Just shows how unpredictable an endurance race can be, Terry.
Can, and I think that's why endurance racing is so popular. I mean, if you're a cricket fan, I guess you can, in a funny way, compare it to one-day 2020 matches and test matches. You know, they're completely played out differently to each other, and it's the same as motorsport. You have to have a strategy. You have to think of the long game. You can't just be going every lap absolutely flat out. You have to be consistent and patient, and that's what we've seen the 3 Pace Syndicate guys do here today. I mean, they've all done it together. They've first, second, and third at the moment. Possibly how they're going to finish, depending on whether or not we will go green again.
Can I just chip in there, guys? Just shout out to Kester Mack. He's driven from 27th for Century Batteries up to P5. That's an excellent drive, and same with Shane Witt as well. Started 19th, and now he's up to 6th.
Yeah, that's some really, really good, smart driving from both of those guys. Well done.
We know around Mt Panorama Bathurst that if you push too hard, there's obviously walls either side, as we can see, houses if you end up in them. But the walls either side, and if you make one mistake, like we've seen today, it can end your race. Unfortunately for Rob Crisdale, he was the victim of one of those. But for those guys starting mid-pack down in 25th and now coming 5th, yeah, brilliant drive, guys.
So having a look on our chat, Tim Mulford apologised to the boys. He said he probably would have won his class. He was in the Kia class, of course, but unfortunately he got taken out. He had enough fuel to get to the end. So condolences with Tim, who obviously was playing the smart game as well. Now, the cars make their way under the Fuso Bridge into the chase, and we're yet to see or not whether we're going to have one lap green. If this is going to go green, I'm telling you now, this could be one of the most exciting finishes in iRacing history.
Do you think the top three will stay the same, or do you think the teammates will have a crack, Tristo?
Look,
You've got to have a go, surely.
You got to have a go. You got to have a crack. You've raced these few hours. Like, why wouldn't you? You know. Here they go.
We're off and racing. Green flag. It is green flag. We have one more lap to go, guys.
Wow,
This is
what
going
a
to be one hell of a lap.
What a twist.
So Clark leads the way up Mountain Straight. He's got an absolute gun of a start. Foster runs a little bit wide out of turn number 1, but he's still right up the back of Stevens. He needs to get a little bit closer to try and get a bit more of that draft. Rewald is the meat and the sandwich at the moment, but it's looking pretty good for the 3 Pace Syndicate cars, guys.
Yeah, Nathan Clark, he's got a good start. He's managed to keep that lead, and the 3 Pace Syndicate guys, they're just keeping it together. I'm just wondering whether these guys may be content to finish where they are, but as I say that, James sticks the nose up just to show him he's intending to maybe have a go later on down the second half of the track. Rob?
Yeah, we may see James Foster have a go coming down the chase. But I think with these 3 Pace Syndicate cars, 1, 2 and 3, they'll create a good border for at least Nathan. They'll protect Nathan to this race win. We'll see what James has. He's been the class of the field all day, well and truly the fastest guy on track today. Let's see if
Have
he
a look
could.
at this now. James Rewald a little bit closer up the back of Nathan Clark. I'd imagine that he might be right in the right close enough to get the slipstream as he turns it a little bit too early down there. And Foster now. Foster's going to have a look at Stevens. He's close enough for the slipstream, Rob.
Absolutely, as I think Stevens actually clipped the wall on the exit of the elbow. As now Foster's right under his rear wing. Pulls out to the left-hand side. With Kyle Stevens, this is the last lap. Side by side coming through the chase. And it looks like Foster's pulled out of it.
As
He was too far back, I'm thinking.
Smart driving.
Played it safe, yeah, definitely played it safe.
We know James Foster is currently leading the championship. So I bet he's thinking to take these points other than getting a non-finish.
Here we go, guys. What a result.
there we have it, guys. Nathan Clark. Yeah, that was fantastic. Nathan Clark takes the win for Pace Syndicate. James Rewalt in second. Kyle Stevens ends up holding off James Foster. And what an absolute stunning race, Rob and Tristan. This has been one for the memory and one for the ages. And well done to the 3 Pace Syndicate guys. Also, a very well done to Tony Pincan, who takes out the Mustang class with Ben Collard in second and Jake Manhire in third. And then, of course, Peter Kropp finishes in first place for the MX-5s. Peter Dodd in second and Tristan Moore in third place. And then we have to say a big well done to Jason Markowski too, guys. He ended up in 5th place and winning the Kia class.
We saw Jason early on. He was involved in an incident, wasn't he, boys? And he had to actually fight his way back through the field. He was down to like 20th or something, I believe. And he's done really good job to get back up to 4th overall. Unfortunately, he hasn't taken the overall win being in that fastest Kia class, but I'm sure come next time he'll definitely try and learn from his mistakes and try and take the overall win, Tristo.
Yeah, look, but you know, I still think he's going to be happy with that. It's a win's a win, and whether it's in the car class or overall, and I know he'd rather take the overall, but I'd still be happy. Look, I'm very pleased that that was an exciting race today. It was great to call that, and look, got to say, the majority of the drivers have done an exceptional job and given us something that was great to commentate on, don't you think, Terry?
Yeah, I really think it was a great concept. Of course, this is the first sim shed production that's been done outside of the team. So a big, very, very well done to JP Courier. Rob, you've done a fantastic job on the microphone. So have you, Tristan. And yeah, that was certainly a very, very good one to call. And I'm sure that we'll all be back. Maybe, Rob, we might even see ourselves behind the wheel for the next one.
Mate, we'll give it a go. I've really enjoyed commentating. Terry and Tristo. It's been really good fun. Mate, we'll try and get behind the wheel. We'll see what we can do. I've really enjoyed today. Once again, thank you to Pace Syndicate Events, Kyle Stevens and your crew. You've obviously allowed us to do what we did today, so it's been good fun. And to all the drivers for keeping it relatively clean, Tristo?
Yeah, no, it was great, and just want to say thanks to you and Terry and Pace Syndicate PDC3 and our sponsors of Bruzzy Racewear and URAP liveries. So, but look, first of many productions here. I hope, Rob.
Absolutely, mate. I believe we're going to try and get some of the guys from the race into the broadcasting station. If we just hold there for a minute, Tristo, we'll see what we can do, mate.
Yeah, no, we'll see if we can get in and have a chat to them and see what their take on the race was from a driver's perspective.
I believe, guys, now we have Ed Foster here. Ed, you finished in... What did you finish, mate? You finished 8th, I think.
P nowhere, yep.
P nowhere. You started up second behind your brother. You guys managed to pull a bit of a gap from the start. Unfortunately, wasn't there an incident you were involved in that, unfortunately, you had some damage at the front and you had to pit for a fast repair? Mate, you gave it all you had. How do you think your race went?
Yeah, look, it was bad. It's never good to have that much pace and finish behind a lot of people. I mean, James and I were the fastest cars on the track, easily, as the start of the race showed. And then we decided to take tyres at the first stop, which a lot of people didn't do, which allowed a few people to sort of leapfrog us. But we still had that superior pace, and I was sort of battling there with Northway. I haven't really had a chance to go back and have a look at it, have a look at the replay. I know we were 3 wide. Yeah, now looking back on it, you can sort of question the wisdom, but I kept hoping that one of the other two was going to back out, either the one which didn't have the pace of the rest of us or the guy on the outside. But either way, none of us did, and we ended up having a bit of an accident. So, but at the end of the day, that wasn't make or break for us. We recovered from that. It was the cautions that messed up our strategy completely. If we had some decent, clean race running at the end, I'm quite confident we would have finished first and second, but the cautions completely screwed us.
Absolutely, mate. And it seems as if you, James, and I think Sean pitted at the end. And unfortunately, it looks like James got back up to 4th, which is an excellent drive. But unfortunately, you and Sean have finished 7th and 9th, respectively. It seems as if that last pit stop didn't really work out for you guys.
Well, I mean, we had a bit of it wasn't really so much the last pit stop. I mean, we had to pit and we were fairly sure that everybody else had to pit. Now, we're going to have to go back and actually have a look at it to find out what everyone else did, because it appeared that there were a lot of guys there that didn't have to pit for whatever reason, whether they were gambling on a lot of cautions or whatever. We'll have to have a look at that. But I managed to get out of the pits in front of Sean on that last stop, and then unfortunately made a mistake, just stupid error. Coming into turn 1, my fault, ran wide, lost a couple of spots. So realistically, I should have been right up there behind James. I should have been about probably 6th or maybe even 5th, but it's entirely my fault that didn't happen.
Hey Ed, Tristan Yellen speaking here. So concentration level was very high out there today, mate.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Bathurst is one of those tracks where you do have to concentrate. I mean, everyone knows that it's the most challenging track in if not just Australia, probably the Southern Hemisphere as well. It's very difficult across the top. There really is only one line, and multi-class racing there it's great. It's intense, it's hectic, and it's very high concentration as well. But that's why we love it.
Yeah, no, completely understandable. Well done on your race there today. I know it's not how you would like to finish, but still great effort. And on to the next one, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. We'll be back for the next one. I think that we showed that both the Jinx cars had very good pace tonight, or today, I should say. And yeah, it was just a shame that we didn't get a straightforward race. I mean, I'm not sure what the incidents were that were bringing the cautions out. I think I saw a couple of them, and yeah, look, I'm not in race control, but I do wonder if full course cautions were necessary for all of them. But I think if had it not been for a couple of those yellow flag interventions, then you would have seen the two Jinx cars right up the front there. But there's always next time, so we're not going to lose pace. We're only going to get better. So we'll come back next time and give it a real good shake again.
Absolutely, Ed. Any thank yous or anything you'd like to say, mate, just before you end?
Yeah, definitely. So, of course, I'd like to thank the organisers of the series. It's a great series. It's a great concept. It's going to be really good once the Porsche GT4 comes in as well, because that'll provide a little bit of that separation between the classes we haven't got now with the Kias. But and also, of course, Jinx Shifters. You know, they've been a massive supporter of this team for quite some time. Drive Sim, Goodyear Auto Care Warana, and of course, I've had an absolute mental blank. Sorry, I'm so tired. But yeah, definitely all the partners with the team. A Brizzy Racewear, there we go. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's team effort. It's a team effort. We put our best foot forward today. Unfortunately, couldn't get it done. But with the help of all those guys and the teammates and everything else, we're going to come back better next time. And hopefully the race plays a little bit more to our favour, because, like I say, we get a straightforward race with no worries. We should be 1-2.
Absolutely, mate. You guys are definitely the class of the field today. Unfortunately, strategy didn't quite go your way. As we turn to James Foster, Ed's brother. James, you and Ed drove away from the field early on there. You managed to drive away from Sean and the rest of the pack. You guys were definitely the fastest cars on track all day. Unfortunately, strategy didn't go your way.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, mate. We definitely showed that we have the pace on everybody by quite a distance. And that's what makes this result difficult to take, because all things being equal, it would have been not only a victory, but a dominant one. So yeah, that's something that we need to work on. Decisions for our pit stops. I mean, it's sort of unfortunate the way the cards fell today, but there's always room to improve, and that's something we'll look at before the next race.
Yeah, for sure, mates. And it was seemed that the safety cars didn't quite come out at the time you wanted. I mean, there were a few of you that pitted in the, I think the last safety car, or two safety cars to go. Now, unfortunately, that brought you guys down the pack, but James, you managed to work your way back up to fourth, just behind the leaders. And for that last safety car restart, you were right behind their bumper. What was going through your head at that last restart?
To pass all of them straight away. I wasn't going to hold back. I wasn't going to do a David Reynolds, put it that way. No, definitely 100%. I was going to go for it, and I had a poor exit out of turn one. Unfortunately, I touched the grass, which I was really frustrated with, because I was going to be aiming for a pass into Griffins, and then a pass into the cutting, and then a pass into Forest Elbow, and then a pass into the chase. That was the goal.
Yeah, wow.
So that, yeah, I don't go into those situations with any other attitude.
And to win.
Absolutely. So, yeah, really disappointed. I mean, I got, as far as I was concerned, all things being equal, the race looked sorted. I mean, who knows whether they would have made it if it wasn't for the last caution. But when I passed Lindsell around the outside of Griffins, and I was able to gap him quite easily, I thought that was the race that would win it. But unfortunately, I think things fell their way, and they didn't fall our way today. Yeah, so frustrating, but at the end of the day, we got fourth. But I'd like to make comment as well of my brother Edward's performance, because his pace was excellent today. Like, to come from where he was in the last race, I don't think he had the speed on Lindsell last race, and this time he thumped him. It wasn't even close. So it was excellent to have the two of us up the front. It's just a shame we couldn't finish it off.
Absolutely, mate. Thank you for joining us. We definitely saw that pass. We made a big comment of your pass around Sean at turn two. you tried the first time, it didn't quite work out, but then that second time, you definitely made it work around the outside. Any thank yous or anything you'd like to make, James?
Yeah, just to our team, JP Sim Shed and all of our sponsors, so Jinx Shifters, Drive Sim, Goodyear Auto Care Warana, Brutzy Racewear, VR Covers, and Cars for Hope. All of those sponsors make all of this possible. So, and I also want to shout out to like the league itself. It's been excellent to drive for. As Ed touched on already, I would have made a few different calls in race control, but I'll just make the comment that, you know, the benefit of sim racing is you don't need a full course caution because there aren't cars on the track that need to be removed by a truck. So we have the benefit of an escape button. So with that in mind, we need to sort of act accordingly with our decisions, but that's obviously their decision, not mine.
100%, mate. Well, from SimShed Broadcasting today at Bathurst, Mt Panorama, Tristo, would like to say thank you, and we'll wrap it up there. So plan on being here at the next one, and yeah, we'll see you then.
Yep, absolutely, mate. We've got to make up for this one.
No worries. Cheers, boys. Tristo, thank you. JP, thank you. And yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, no, thank you too, guys. Brilliant doing this, and yeah, thanks JP, thanks Rob, thanks Terry. Great broadcast. Bring on the next one.